Three, two, one. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 300 of the KBMOD podcast. It is November 12th, 2017. And I want to ask you a real quick question. What does the KBMOD podcast and Grey's Anatomy have in common? Well, as of November 9th, 2017, Grey's Anatomy had just reached 300 episodes. And we are not far behind, folks. It is the 12th. And we have also reached 300. We started, I don't know if we started around the same time or not. Somehow, I mean, maybe. I don't know exactly how it
was like way before.
Yeah, I think
they've been around for a long time.
We haven't taken,
they take like half-year breaks, right? Or year breaks. Yes. So anyway, that's pretty amazing, though. I mean, we're, I would say Grey's Anatomy is slightly less popular than the KBMOD podcast, but it's nice of them to be in our shadow. And yeah, we've got a special episode because Uncle Nick Fenton has come to join us for episode.
My uncle now? Is it my status? My status
That's your
is
status.
uncle.
You're like the uncle when you stop in and you like give everybody sweet treats.
I'm surprised, honestly, at this point that I'm like even associated with KBMOD still, because I do not do anything. I don't do anything.
But it's a legacy. It's
it's just I have the status, like I've been grandfathered in.
Exactly. And you have an emote still.
Like I'm just not. I just visit every once in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute since Nick has been on, but it's always a blast when he's here. So thanks to him for joining us for 300. We've got, of course, the normal crew. We've got, and it's also nice to say the normal crew because Yingity Yang, he basically went from filling in when we needed him to like, we were like, dude, just come on every time, please, Yingity.
Am I supposed to like hand down the, what did Alex call me? The backup?
Yeah, like the
relief pitcher. That's what it was.
The relief pitcher. You have to give him the baseball. Well, he's not even.
You can't. You're not really a relief pitcher for me since I was already a relief pitcher. You're the. I don't know.
Catcher.
Whatever you want to be. You're the catcher. I'm the pitcher, and you're the catcher. Bingity bang.
It all comes back to bingity bang.
Bingity bang.
All right. Well. Yeah, but it's great to have you on, Yang, for 300. And you also, I mean, you've been also listening to this podcast for a while too. So
yeah, you know a lot of I remember the 200th episode. I remember last time you guys did something like this.
Yeah, so fantastic to have Yang. Of course, Katie Zen, and I just want to forewarn all live viewers and listeners, Katie Zen on his second Whiskey and Coke for the 300th episode. So
it's actually just a pint glass of pure whiskey.
Yes.
No, unfortunately.
You're drinking with a straw?
Yes! What's the issue?
Such a bitch. You're
There's nothing wrong with the straw.
He is drinking it with the straw, but...
You colada looking ass over here?
I'm quitting.
Tip the cup to your lips.
This is my last podcast. But no, I feel great.
He's been celebrating for 30 minutes now.
Yeah, since I'm excited. I'm glad to have him. He's going to get real loosened up. No telling what's going to happen. Yeah. Of course,
real loosened up.
Who knows what Bingity Bang will do if he sees how loose Katie's end gets. But,
oh my God.
You know Bing Crosby referred to himself as Bingity Bang at some point.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
without himself. Pointed to his day. That's the Bingity Bang or whatever. I don't know. And, of course, Brandon, back, you were on vacation this week. Were you?
I was, yeah.
How was that?
It was good. It was good. Went to Cabo San Lucas for about 4 days. Decided awesome. it was getting kind of cold over here on the West Coast, so we went to a beach destination, and we got a rental car, and it was like $45 a day, right? And so in Mexico, you all of the car prices say they're like $8 a day, and that's a scam. It's not actually. So I was like, I'm doing my research. I find what hopefully is a reputable car company, and so $45 a day, you would think that gets you like a decent rental, right? You get like some sort of sedan or something for that price. When we got there, I wanted to get a stick shift because I'm like, we're in Mexico. I like driving stick. I haven't driven a manual in a while, so opted for a stick shift. This place, like I don't mean to be stereotypical here, but this place was like exactly what you think of when you think of Mexican rental car company. And we got a Volkswagen Gol, Gol. So at first,
The F wasn't on there.
no, so hold on. At first,
what?
I thought when we got out and I looked at it that it was a Golf with the F taken off.
Right. That's what
Oh
you would
my
think.
It's not. It's not.
Wait.
It's a real
Wait.
car. We discovered that the
I
Volkswagen
need to look
Gol
this up.
is like a top-selling car in Brazil.
Oh.
So it's a real thing. It's a real thing. The car, bare bones does not describe this car. It had no cruise control. It did not have
Wow.
electric mirrors. The seats didn't move. It was like truly the most bare bones rental car I've ever rented.
Amazing.
And even like the speaker system wasn't, I don't even know if it originally came with a speaker system, but there was like a Kenwood stuffed in the dash.
Oh my god.
And
Just-
and this car had like 65,000 miles.
Amazing.
So I don't think I've ever seen a rental car.
$48 a day for that
Yeah.
piece. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen a rental car above like 40,000 miles, right? Because they turn them
No.
over every couple years.
Yeah.
And so that's
rare.
like pretty high. And I saw this, the check engine light was on. Like I cannot make this up.
Wow. That's
so
amazing.
The Volkswagen Gol is the $500 KB-Mod build PC. It's like it'll get you there, but you need some more things.
Yeah. No fanfare. Like
Getting
just
that sweet
barely.
spot.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
So it
anyway,
didn't break
was,
down though. You
no,
got
it was
you got
fine. It
around
was fine. And I mean, in a way, it's like maybe better because you're kind of in Mexico. I feel like I was kind of worried about our safety. Like Cabo San Lucas,
You don't
and
wanna be
tourist
flashy.
towns. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to have like the nicest car in the parking lot. And so I was actually it was kind of nice that like we fit in with what the locals were driving. Like old beat up
Yeah.
cars. So I guess that was all right. But yeah, we stayed at a resort. It was pretty cool. The weather was beautiful, but I actually put a video on Twitter. It was really surprising. I'd never been to a place where the weather was perfect all week, but the surf was dangerous. Like it was a black flag, which is
I saw that.
that is
tweet.
the most
Yeah.
like that's one level after not supposed to swim. Like that's dangerous. Black means like don't even come close. And
Yeah.
and it was
That's
because the
fucking super
waves.
dangerous shit. They made an Assassin's Creed game titled that. You should fucking stay away. So
Oh my god.
if they're fucking black
I know, I'm
flagging,
serious.
Ubisoft's here. Get the fuck off the beach.
You play no.
So yeah, we it was really cool though. Like I'd never seen the waves breaking right on the shore like that. And
Yeah,
so
that video was
they had like a lifeguard,
crispy.
basically lifeguards on the beach, and whenever people would go in, if they would spend more than a minute or two in there, like they would blow the whistle and get people out. So yeah, mostly hung out in the pool and drank and had some good food.
Nice.
For what we've been eating, I
was just gonna say, yeah, you should just go right into that.
skip ahead because we had some really good stuff.
Cool.
We had like fish tacos. I had a snapper, like a snapper that was the whole fish. So it was like done with the head was still on it and all that. Neat presentation.
Nice.
But the best thing that we had while we were there was this new restaurant that's in a resort that's not even built yet. So like the restaurant is built, but the resort next to it is still under construction. So it's kind of hard to find. But we got a recommendation to go there, so we go to that place. Not very busy, it's you can tell it's like a pretty new restaurant. Not many people there, but we ordered a porterhouse steak, and you wouldn't necessarily think like I'm gonna get amazing steak in Cabo San Lucas in Mexico.
No.
But
Yeah.
it was fantastic, like just
Nice.
a fantastic medium rare porterhouse served on like a hot stone almost. So like the plate was a stone. It was really, really good, and it was a lot of food.
Was it cleaned?
Yeah, I mean it was sanitary.
Okay, that's good.
It was a nice restaurant. What question is
It's
this?
just, have you ever gotten a steak and been like, this steak is dirty?
It's got sand in
a
it.
stone. It's like just a rock from outside. They like ran out of plates.
No. I mean like sort of a sheet of rock. It was basically
Yeah.
it was like a thin sheet of rock, basically, so you could like it held the heat really well. So when they served it, the plate was very hot, but it was actually
Right.
it was rock. So we had that.
That's
and
pretty cool, actually.
We had a lobster ravioli with that, and we shared. Hillary and I shared that, and it was so good. It was like some of the best food I've had in quite a while. So,
are you guys familiar with the subreddit We Want Plates?
No.
No,
It's a subreddit dedicated to all like the really shitty plating presentations that restaurants make up these days. Where it's like, I mean, a rock can be tasteful, but it's like when it's just like, here's a pot on a plate inside of a box, like just really terrible ideas.
I've got
like
this
people hanging shit from things and
hardcover copy of Insurgent, just
shit like that. It's a hilarious subreddit. I would highly recommend
What's
it.
it called?
We Want Plates. It's in the chat right now.
I need to look this up now.
Nice.
Okay.
Something
anyway,
food related.
that's what I've been doing, and got home, and while we were gone, like on the plane ride there and back, I was watching Stranger Things. Finished binge watching when we got home, so had a pretty good week.
That's good. So I guess you didn't really play anything because you were vacationing, but you were watching
I
Stranger
haven't played
Things.
anything. Played like a couple games of Hearthstone. I want to play a little bit of Destiny before the reset this week, but I haven't had a chance to play anything.
I want to get you to 280.
I know. That's actually why we brought Nick Fenton on, just so he could talk about how he's been playing Destiny on PC.
Bingity Bang's been playing. He's been dingity dang in Destiny.
What are you? What light level are you, dingity dang? At this point?
Man.
I have a Titan at 304 and a Warlock at 300.
304.
We did a raid on Friday.
Damn.
It was my first raid, and
You
I
did
got carried through it.
It went really well, actually.
It brought me up pretty. I'm at like 293 now, from like a 280 something.
Wow, you're cool.
Yeah, I've rail poon.
So let's just.
You said 305 was the level cap?
305 is max.
Wow. They're probably
Getting raised. It's like getting raised to 330 in the DLC, I think, something like that.
Oh, cool.
Is it 330? Okay.
What do you? I
How
mean,
many Destiny bucks to upgrade for free? Well, not free, but instantly.
I don't know.
Microtransaction. Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
There's a lot of-
let's keep this Destiny discussion going because Nick, I know you're playing Destiny. Obviously, Dingity Dang is playing Destiny 2. Destiny 2 as well. So you can go, Nick, because I know that's what you've been playing. What do you
want to know?
What have we been eating?
We'll get to that.
We didn't talk about this.
So indignant.
Oh wow. Okay. We had a nice natural transition in conversation. We were pivoting.
He sounded so frustrated. What have you been eating?
I swear to God,
again. It's been 300 episodes.
You know what? I
boiled some mac and cheese the other day.
Yeah. Like mac and cheese, veggie corn dogs. Like I had a pizza earlier. I had a pizza yesterday.
I want to hear what
Okay,
Katie's
this
been eating.
discussion.
All right, if
Katie,
you're gonna interrupt Nick Fenton, our special guest, I want to know
Listen
what you've
to
been eating
me.
that was so important to interrupt the natural flow of conversation.
I needed to talk about it. I didn't want us to skip it. I had this really good like chicken parmesan with spaghetti, and on Monday I had this. It sounds so dumb when I'm talking about it now. If only it had come naturally, then it would have just been perfect. But no, I had really good chicken.
Where was it from? A restaurant? Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I had it at home. My dad made it, and he's a master chef. He should go on Master Chef. And
Wait, who?
My father made it.
Oh, your father
and,
made.
Yes, he's an excellent chef, and he listens to the podcast regularly. He tells me he listens to every episode. Yes, yeah, he does.
Oh my god!
Is he gonna listen to this episode and slap you in the face for interrupting with?
I'm not.
No, he's happy.
Proud. I'm not trying to
dishonor his mad compliments on this chicken farm, or wait, was it chicken farm?
Chicken farm.
Chicken
farm. Oh, chicken farm.
Wait, what was it? Was it chicken parm or chicken Alfredo? I forget what it was.
It was chicken parm.
Yeah.
And
Chicken farm.
He brought it out with some spaghetti.
Okay.
And it's like he brought it out, and everyone was so impressed. The whole family just got up and applauded him because it was delicious.
Wait, you all applauded it?
Wait, you guys applauded?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He brought it out. He always brings out his food last, and my mom was like, "Listen, when he comes out, everyone should just applaud him because it's amazing." And we did that.
How many people?
It's a regular-sized American family. It's not like the whole country is in this Indiana house, just a stadium going wild.
If like 4 people applaud, it's really
5
just
people.
it's kind of awkward.
Well, I mean, it didn't feel awkward. It felt good to me, and
Okay.
he was happy.
As long as
I
it
mean,
worked for the moment, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, he's good. And then Monday he made this like shrimp and sausage and rice mix, and that was just wonderful. And that's all I have to say. I just wanted to give my dad a shout out on the cast because I know he listens.
Shout out. Shout out to Katie Zan's dad who listens to the cast.
I envy the
pretty
diversity of dishes you seem to have thanks to your dad's cooking.
Oh yeah, it's a blessing. It really is all the time. Tonight it was just Taco Bell, but I mean,
Just Taco Bell.
Just Taco Bell. How dare you talk down?
Did you
talk about
ever
Taco Bell
try?
that
They
way?
brought the naked chicken fucking chips. You know that.
I had some tonight.
What?
They gave me 4 chips.
What?
They
4? It's like
They gave me
6
4
to an
chips.
order.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god.
They only gave me 4 naked chicken chips.
Okay, but did you try them with the nacho cheese sauce?
Yes, and
Were they good?
they're delicious.
They're good, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're fucking
They
legit.
are
They
really
shouldn't
good.
be.
It seems like it's
shouldn't
just
be.
a chicken nugget, like a thin chicken nugget.
Exactly, but it's like the heat to it.
But
and
there's
the
not
cheese
much
really
breading.
helps it.
That's the naked part. Is like there's not much breading to it.
Yeah, it's
Is
not
that what
super
that
heavy.
is?
Yeah, but they're thinner.
I
too.
like breading.
Yeah, no, they're good. It works with the like the cheese sauce. It's weird. Like every time I've had them a couple times, and I'm always like, I don't expect to like these as much, but I mean, people like them too because they brought them back. So
They're
Good,
a
I'm
great
glad you-
snack, really. Like they're
Yeah.
not going to fill you up, but they're very tasty.
I have not ordered anything that's not on the dollar menu at Taco Bell in months, maybe even more than like we're in the years.
Is
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
is this due to choice or due to like economic necessity?
yeah,
Well, I mean, it is nice. You could just be like, I want fucking 8 things right now.
yeah, it's
I just want
$8.
to destroy my entire life. Well, most of the
Right.
there's a lot of vegetarian shit that's
The potato
the dollar.
fucking
the potato
what is it?
soft top, the spicy
Potato
potato
soft
soft taco. Yeah.
That
Oh, so good.
That one's good.
one's
The
good, too.
the crispy chicken quesadilla is also very good.
That's
Then
not
the box.
vegetarian.
Okay, I apologize.
Desires. I thought I had the spotlight for like a second. You can
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. No,
Talking about
it's-
your
sorry,
order.
Katie.
It's
What else do you
whatever.
like from the Taco Bell menu?
No, I'm done.
What are
I'm
you
done.
eating?
I'm trying to take this bitch over. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's
Literally.
fine. No, it's
That's
fine.
all. That's all. I mean, it was all just good food, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. Sorry.
All right.
Go on about Destiny for the 50th episode.
Well, now I don't even know how to segue back to Destiny. All right. Well, now we're talking about food. So, did Yang or Nick? Did you have anything of note eating? I'm trying to think this week if I did. I didn't.
Week?
No.
No, I fucking just corn dogs and
Mm.
French fries and bad food. I made breakfast tacos yesterday. I like actually got out of bed and was like, I want to go get stuff for breakfast tacos, and I made it was good.
Mhm.
That's it.
Okay. Yang, any
I've been,
food things?
Wait, what? I missed it.
I just started talking again, like out of turn. For like the 50th time.
Come on
Katie,
now.
you can go
I
for
hope
me.
I hope your dad
I'm
listens
sorry.
to this
Just
episode.
go. Listen,
It's
Katie,
gonna
go
be
ahead.
so
Go
bad.
for Yang. He probably messaged you what he wanted to
No,
say.
no. Oh, where's my mic?
Oh my
No.
god, this boy's turnt over here. Jesus.
No,
Does your dad know you're getting so turned in his household?
he's about to know. He's gonna wake up for all this screaming.
Screaming.
Yeah, wait, I don't.
I gotta mute
not
my
be-
mic. I'm
you
just
got
gonna mute my mic
it's a
until we talk
podcast.
about
No
video
screaming.
games. Right,
All
of
right.
course. Yeah.
All
All right, I'm just gonna
right.
mute until.
All right. Yang, what was there any? Did you have anything specific? This
No,
week
no,
that
I've
you
got
really enjoyed?
nothing.
Okay,
we can
all
move
right.
on.
We can move on. All right, so let's talk about Destiny. Well, we'll have Nick go with what he's been playing. I know he's been playing Destiny, but
Destiny.
you
That's,
played the
that's
first.
it.
Well, I know, but
Nothing
you
else
played
to
the first Destiny, right?
Yeah, I mean,
A
I
little
played
bit.
through the Taken King, and then I didn't play the last DLC.
Okay.
I mean,
Howard-
it's more of the
Fine,
same.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's okay. If I had
Mhm.
been playing on consoles, I would probably like. I have a lot of the people that I like on YouTube and stuff that have been watching. They're pretty frustrated, but I think the
Right.
fact that the PC release was delayed, it means we're just gonna kind of like meander right on into the first DLC. So hopefully, some of like
yeah.
the end game sort of stuff, like the lack of content or however you want to phrase it, that will not be as much of an issue.
Mm.
It's also like I think a lot of people want it to be like an MMO experience, but it's way more of like, I mean, you'll get plenty of hours. We were talking about this before the podcast, but it's like, like 100 hours to 200 if you really want to. But I mean, it's not like an endless amount of content.
Yeah, it sounds like it has the same the same criticism can be levied against this game as the first game where people are like,
yeah, this
just
one's
not a
just
lot
a
of
little more
content on
interesting.
launch.
It is weird because a lot of the things that I don't necessarily like about this game, are pretty much the same as the previous one, but like they're a little bit better. So it's like they're not huge complaints. There are improvements, but yeah, there's still a lot of room to improve as well. It's a good game just to play with people because I mean it's the first game in a while where it's like I know a lot of people that are playing, so I mean pretty much any night I can be like hop on and I can play with at least one person. Just kind of do something.
Yeah, it's a good community game.
Yeah, it's a social game.
Ying, how have you found Destiny? I mean, I know you're grinding a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first Destiny. I didn't play any of the first one. I just sort of watched a lot of it. But yeah, I'm on the same lines. I'm really enjoying it. I'm starting to now feel the lack of endgame. Not that there's nothing to do, but yeah,
you
if you wanted to
you're light level 304 and the cap is 305.
Yeah, so Ying is at like the point where the people are probably starting to get frustrated.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's not, and I'm not actually that frustrated. Like I put a lot of time into it, and I've definitely got my money's worth out of it. So I'm definitely like hoping to transition now into a state where I'm like hopping on like maybe 2 or 3 times a week just to sort of do the activities for the reset, and then basically that's all I'm looking for now. Because I'm kind of getting over the honeymoon phase of like being really excited for like playing my first Destiny and basically just like getting everything leveled up. And so it's actually going to be nice because my life has been consumed by Destiny. Although yesterday with a bunch of the guys who were in the KBMOD clan, we tried to give the Prestige raid a shot, which if you're not familiar with the Prestige raid, it's just basically the raid and then everything gets ramped up in difficulty, like ads get harder. All the tasks you have to do have like an extra mechanic to make things a little more difficult. But we didn't make it, but that's not really why this is funny to me. So I don't know what it was about yesterday, but Timmy at the queue was the one who was sort of guiding us through everything. He usually takes sort of like a leadership role whenever we start to do these things. But something about yesterday is like, if you imagine the stereotypical situation where there's like an angry dad on a road trip with his 5 kids who just won't stop being little shits.
He was fed up.
The entire raid was. Like, Timmy would explain something for like 20 minutes, and then he'd be like, hey, all right, so everyone good? Everyone got that? We ready to go? Someone would hear someone's mic pop on, be like, sorry, I was on the phone. What did you say?
Oh,
no.
And then he would repeat it, and then they'd be like, no, I heard you the first time. I just wanted you to say it again.
Oh, my.
I understand his frustration then. Jesus.
But
Yeah,
it was
that's pretty
like,
annoying.
like we started off just fine, but I think a lot of us started to fall off in terms of the difficulty and trying over and over and over again. And instead of just quitting, we just started being idiots about it. So anyways,
how long were you at this for?
I want to say we started, we were probably at it for like maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Ooh, Jesus.
And we made like good progress, but we got stuck. We got stuck at one part where it's the part we ended up giving up on because we just don't have, I don't know, the gear to deal with all the ads because everything just hits harder. So we were just dying to ads and not even able to complete the objective, but we'll give it another shot. I mean, if Timmy's willing after that. But overall, I've been enjoying Destiny. I'm happy to be getting it to a point where I can play the game a little more casually now that I'm not super.
Are you doing 3 characters?
I will be eventually. Yeah, I only have 2 right now.
Man, you got to get on that. That's
the
how you
thing
get
is,
the
the
full
last character
addiction.
I need to do is a hunter, and I've not heard great things about the hunter.
My second character's Hunter. I kind of like it.
Okay.
The
I'm
jump
going
is
to
at
do it
least
eventually
way more
regardless.
usable than the Warlock jump.
I hate the Warlock jump.
Yeah, it's very floaty.
So, as somebody so do you guys play the PvP much?
I only play PvP when it's a quest, basically.
Yeah.
Quick play is a good like distraction, I guess. Like you can play a few matches here and there, but it's not like I'm there for PvE for the most part.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm sort of the same way. I'll do the PvP for a quest, and then I'll do trials with KBMOD?
I have yet to do trials because I play on my living room PC, so I'm on a controller most of the time. So it's like would just get pooped on.
So happy with your purchases, though, both of you overall. Like, you're
Yeah,
having fun with
I
it.
am.
Like the
Yeah.
aspect.
I'm not like overjoyed or anything, but it is. I mean, clearly, I put like I looked at like the time played thing, and it's like I'm in the 40-hour range somewhere in there. And
Okay.
for me, like I
Okay.
don't play video games that much at this point. So, like if you can get me to play in dozens of hours of any game, that's pretty impressive.
How do you
Or
like
not,
it
well.
compared to like what's your canonical review of it compared to Destiny 1? Because you're I think the only one that really played good amounts of it.
See, well, like Destiny after all the DLCs, or like Destiny when it came out, like Vanilla Destiny, like Vanilla
I guess
Destiny
both,
1
'cause
versus
I don't
Vanilla
really
Destiny 2.
have a perspective on what like I
Vanilla
know there's a big
Destiny-
difference, but
Vanilla Destiny 1, I would probably like on a 1 to 10 scale, it would probably be like a 4 to a 5, maybe closer to 5-ish. I would say probably Destiny 1 after all the DLCs. I mean, I didn't play the very last DLC, so take my opinion with a grain of salt if you're like a vet, but maybe like a 6-ish, and like Destiny 2 is like a pretty solid 7. Maybe you could probably argue for like an 8, but I feel like there's still a lot of room for improvement as far as just an RPG
Okay.
in general.
All right.
Agree with
Fair. Cool. All right, and then I'll go. I mean, because Yang, you haven't been playing anything else besides Destiny, really, right? All that
No,
much,
not
or-
really. No.
Okay.
I mean, other than the only time I've ever played a different game was when you directly hit me up to play Unfortunate Spaceman.
Oh, that's right.
That was
Unfortunate.
it.
Yeah, we played Unfortunate. Yeah, this week. Just still fun.
I have that. We should play it at some point.
That game is fucking super fun with the group. So yeah, I've the big game that I've been playing that's new and that I finished this week was South Park: The Fractured Butthole, and holy fuck, to me that game, I don't know, I read mixed things on it. Some people said it wasn't as good as the.
Is it my mic again? I accidentally hit the goddamn thing again.
It's your mic.
it's so bad.
I just love it. It was so
Is it better now?
Yeah,
It's
that's
good.
better.
It's fine.
I keep going up to the following thing on the Twitch app because I want to go see the chat, and then I end up hitting the microphone volume thing, and it just fucks it up for some reason.
And I think
That
about the
was
fact
awesome.
that this is our 300th episode, and we've had more technical difficulties this episode than the past 100 combined.
No. It's,
You know what?
all right.
How does that even happen?
Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Like, I know I heard mixed things. Some people said it wasn't as good as Stick of Truth and stuff like that. And I really enjoy Stick of Truth. I don't really generally enjoy RPGs and stuff in general, but like Stick of Truth is just an incredible game. It's like playing a prolonged South Park episode, but like the combat's really fun, the exploring's rewarding, all that kind of stuff. So I really like the first one. I played this, and for me, the entire I was kind of told like it kind of drags on at the end, which is very true. It does kind of drag on longer than you would expect. There's like a couple false endings in the game, but to me, the payoff at the end of, not to spoil anything, A Fractured Butthole was fucking legendary. And I won't really spoil it because the kind of entire game builds up to the ending. But like as far as like the combat's deeper in this one than the first. I think it's maybe a little bit longer depending on if you try to like, do everything in the game than the first one. I had no technical difficulties. I know a lot of people did, so that I think that also affected reviews. But for me, like I didn't expect it to be quite as good as the first game, and to me, it even surpassed the Stick of Truth, which I think is a fantastic game and was like really highly rated. So I cannot recommend that game enough. And it's a $60 game, and I took my time and stuff. I think on average it's anywhere from like 19 to 20 something hours for people. I ended up with like 24 hours. I had one more thing to collect that I hadn't collected, and other than that, I'd done like all the side quests pretty much that I could. But yeah, that was really, really fantastic. So definitely recommend that game, especially if you enjoyed the first one. I think it's just better and more fleshed out even than the first game was. And then additionally, I'm continuing to play NBA 2K18. My character is now after 42 hours of gameplay time. My character is now a 72. I started at 60, so I've gone a whole 12 levels. Still not buying any of the in-game virtual currency, and we're now averaging 10.3 points a game for my character. He's shooting just over 30% from the field. I'm averaging like 4 assists a game. We're really seeing my guys really starting to take off in the NBA. So continue to enjoy that grind in a weird way. It's like everyone's grinding Destiny, and I'm grinding.
Yeah, I was about to say you should be grinding, but instead you're shooting hoops.
I'm shooting hoops. I can't stop. I'm so addicted to that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else besides that. Those were the main newer ones. I haven't played Counter-Strike in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. There's been so many games that this is like a good time to be playing newer games, because this is the
Destiny 2 like search and destroy mode with Timmy this week.
Yeah,
he's doing calls like a fucking nerd.
That shit's fun. I love their search. I love the 4v4.
Which one? Almost exclusively your experience with Destiny, hasn't it, Scott? Like that's
yes,
all you.
I pretty much only play PvP. Yeah, really? I pretty much only play PvP.
What do we have to do to get you to play? What's the barrier?
I just, if I'm gonna play it, I'm not gonna stream. Like, I don't really want to stream the PvE stuff. I would just have to be like down to play after like streaming or before or something like that.
Yes,
but I mean I don't know.
Most of my fun, at least as far as like when I'm really enjoying Destiny, is like when it's not even really what you're doing. It's just like being in a Discord or something with people and just
it would be fun.
Good shit.
Yeah, it'd be fun with people. I did fail to mention that I did play the new zombies for the new Call of Duty, and also I still, not to go to bat for Activision or the new Call of Duty, but the actual gameplay of the new Call of Duty is definitely the best it's been in forever. It's really fun. So I'm just waiting for people. If the servers stay up, well, not that they stay up, but I think it's going to be pretty populated. I mean, we'll see. People are saying it's going to die in a month. I don't think so.
How many people are on right now?
That's a good question. I would have to look at the numbers. But I mean, I never have issues like playing or getting a game. Like it's never. I mean, I know it just came out, but we'll have to see. But it's like I think when it goes on sale, there'll be a lot more people. Yeah, a lot more people getting it.
I always feel like
Call
Call of Duty after a while, it's just gonna go down to like just TDM, just Dom, and like just hardcore and S&D. It's like, and someone like me, I love Kill Confirmed. I love Capture the Flag in Call of Duty, and like no one
has a Kill Confirmed mode, dude. Come on,
I'm buying it instantly.
Gotcha. So wait, what is that? 16? I can't. Is it 16K?
16,000 right now.
Oh, their peak was 46. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. I mean, that's like
16,000.
better than
for a PC release. It's been worse.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is everyone on console that I've been seeing on my timeline has been saying the servers for console have been terrible, and I haven't.
Yeah, I was hearing some
seen
stuff
for that for PC. Like it doesn't seem near as bad. Like so. Anyway, I'm excited for people to get it when it like goes cheaper. They can get it. Because it would be fun to do like even custom games and stuff, and then that way you can source whatever games you want. It doesn't matter anyway. But
that's doing pretty well comparatively, because like Infinite Warfare peaked at 15K all time.
Really? Yeah, that's way better than.
Holy definitely.
Shit. It's pretty crazy that Call of Duty has custom games, and the people that made Halo, their current game does not. I find that pretty hilarious.
That is actually crazy. There are no custom games in Destiny, huh?
No, they're doing private match betas, and like I think that might be like the next DLC or something, or for some patch or whatever.
Yeah.
I do find it hilarious that a lot of like people's complaints about Destiny is the PvP, and it's like these are the people that made Halo. Obviously, it's like it's not all the exact same people and everything, but it's the studio that made it Halo. It's like you would think they would have like a pretty strong grasp on PvP. But apparently they're still pretty. I think it probably has to do with balancing everything coming from the PvE and moving into the PvP.
That's what I was gonna say, because I'm
sure that it's a challenging thing to balance. And Destiny 1, it was definitely all over the place. It was very spammy with a lot of abilities and all that. But I don't know why I keep bringing it back to Destiny, even when people are talking about other games, because it's the only game that matters.
Yeah,
that's true. That matters to me.
All right. Well. If nobody else has anything they've been eating, Katie's done anything else real quick before we move on to the
What are you eating? That's all I've eaten. When did we go to eating? I played.
No, I'm making sure you were very adamant to get yours in. So.
We tried to move on last time.
Dead
You're drunk. It's been like 20 minutes.
All right. That's all right.
Well, I'd love to talk about what I've been playing.
Yeah, go ahead. What have you been playing?
So, the the new Sonic game came out, which has been getting pretty. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ying was in the stream when I played that. It was a dumpster fire. It was, oh my god.
What's the name of it? What's its name?
It's called Sonic Forces.
Sonic
And
Forces.
it's the new 3D Sonic game like Sonic Mania came out, and it was pretty great. Amazing game. And they tried a 3D Sonic game again this year. So Sonic Forces used like the boost style gameplay. Because like, Sonic Generations, amazing game. Sonic Colors, awesome game. Those all use the same kind of control. Sonic Unleashed was really good. And so you see Sonic Forces, you're like, okay, well, boom. This, it's got that good gameplay. How are they going to fuck this up? Well, guess what, dudes? They fucked it up. I don't know how, but they ruined the control in that game. Everything is terrible. The storyline is like, think about any Sonic game you've ever played and how you're like, oh man, I really don't like how edgy they're trying to be. That's the entire plot of Sonic Forces. It starts off, Eggman summons every villain from every past Sonic game and kills Sonic, and literally in the game, locks him in prison and tortures him for 6 months while Tails has lost it and is in agony. I'm not kidding. That is the plot of the video game. And you break Sonic out of prison, and basically you do a bunch of shit, and the game is over with, including the extra levels. It's over in less than 4 hours for this $40 game.
Wow.
It's
$40.
Travesty. It's $40 instead of 60, so yeah, I respect that. You beat the main storyline in 3 hours. And like there are really lame extra missions you can do. And if you really want to just live agony, you can replay the levels and try to collect all the red rings, which, you do those, you can elect all the moon rings to collect. And then I think eventually at some point you get Supersonic as a reward. But at that point, what are you living in your life to like have actually been, to go after all those collectibles? The game sucks. I mean, there are some positives. It looks great. The soundtrack is hit or miss, and I mean, and like the biggest misses possible. Like some of the songs are actually some legit bangers, and then like
so the soundtrack for that game is that someone plugged in their iPod and hit shuffle.
Yeah,
really
exactly. Yeah. It's like there'll be really good techno songs, really good retro like remixes, and then the last level, the pace will kind of like the plot is like. The final battle of the game looks like one of those. Yang, I think you said this. It looks like one of those shitty like Newgrounds fight videos, or like those battle videos where they're like in this impossibly big crater, and it's like the Sonic characters and all these OCs, and then the other side is like 300 Shadow the Hedgehogs, 300 Chaos enemies. Like it's just so bad. And then you start the level, and the song's like "Sun is shining in the sky tonight." And you're like, I had to like. Stop the game. It was just so jarring. I could not believe that made it through this level. And it's like, Sonic Colors, like how the music in that was just like so bad it was good. In Sonic Forces, sometimes it's so bad. Like one time Eggman's like, oh, Sonic, check this out. I've got the null space. Anything that gets sucked into the null space can never leave. Sonic gets sucked into the null space. Next level is called null space. Sonic's like, man, this place is a real doze town. Let's get out of here. Within 20 seconds of running really fast, he escapes null space, and the game progresses as normal. The plot is so poorly written. They introduce all these enemies. Chaos doesn't even have a boss fight. Metal Sonic, I think, is killed off screen. I think he might have one really bad boss fight, and it's just it was so bad. But I'm just really disappointed because I really want them to make a good 3D Sonic game, and they still haven't done this yet. But
just let it die as an IP.
Yeah,
let it die.
But I mean, I did go back to Sonic Generations, and that game is still great. So if you want a good Sonic game that's 3D,
so again, what's your actual? So $40, you played through it. What is your past? It's cheaper if you want to experience it.
I would wait until it was like $15 maybe to pick it up, and even if you're, it's like people are defending it, like. Right. I would give it like a 5-6 out of 10 for that game. I mean, some people like it, but the main thing that just upsets me is how they took this control that worked so well, and somehow like when you're moving around in 3D, like they really restricted a lot of your 3D movement. It's so much of that game feels on rails. Like in the past 3D Sonic games, there have been ways where like, oh, there are these tight corners you can drift. They don't even have drifting anymore because the game will curve you in that direction when you're moving. It controls terrible. If you jump, you're dedicated in that direction. You can't influence it at all. And it's just, anyway, I could talk forever about how badly it controls, but just take my word for it. It controls badly.
Okay.
But I played that, but I also played probably my game of the year this year so far. My friend Miles Kieduzan Howdy himself. I'll drop him in the chat real quick because I want him to be here.
Oh yes, that's right.
There he is.
Yes.
Yeah, he left his Nintendo Switch at my place and was like, you know what, you can just go ahead and hold on to it. And he had Mario Odyssey, and so I played the shit out of that, and that game is just fucking incredible. It's so damn good. Like, I really love what they did with the structure, like compared to like a Galaxy or like Sunshine, where it's like they're pretty open levels, but you're pretty much going to one goal. It feels like, what if you took Mario 64 and you could like grab a star and then you don't get booted to a hub world, it just keeps going. And the games are like huge, levels are huge, and there's so many different things to accomplish. And it's wonderful. It's such a well-polished game. There is one level, like people had talked about like the festival level of the game and how it's just like one of the best, most uplifting levels in a game. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And then I played it, and like I legitimately started crying like within like 10 seconds of playing that level, just because of the atmosphere they built and like what the level is doing. Like, I'm not gonna spoil it because I want people to play this, but it was.
I've heard a lot of comparisons to 64.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really does. As far as like, it feels kind of almost sandboxy, where it's like,
yeah,
do you want to
go?
Like that,
though.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really there's a lot of freedom, and the way it's designed really is like, it's been a while. It's kind of like Spyro 3, I feel like, where all the eggs you can get, they're kind of, you can do whatever you want. And the way the levels are designed, it's so cool. Like, you don't see this so much in games where they like encourage you to break the game. Like, you see the obvious way you're supposed to go, and then you're like, well, what if I pull off this stupid, hard to do but possible jump up here, and I don't even have to do all that. I can just do this crazy jump to skip all the level. You don't feel like you're breaking anything. Sometimes the game rewards you for just going off the beaten path to such an extent where you feel like you're breaking the game, and like the game just rewards you for that. I love when like it just rewards you for being smart and just exploring everything, and it's just phenomenal. So like right now, I feel like my game of the year is probably Mario Odyssey, and my PC game of the year is probably Nier Automata. But yeah, I was just really happy I played that. It's like you beat the game, and then after you beat it, every level is just repopulated with about like twice, if not like 3 times as many moons or stars to collect. And I think there are a total of like 800 something stars in this fucking game. It's like such a big amount of content to do. So yeah, that game has been incredible, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. So yeah, pretty good and bad week. The Switch is like $299.
Okay.
You'll probably find like a good one.
I've heard a lot of really good things about Mario and about
It
Zelda.
sounds like the Switch killer app, basically, for everyone's
exactly that.
Godlike.
I wouldn't say Breath of the Wild for the Switch. I mean, it's great for the Switch, but I mean, it's also on Wii U, so you can't really call it exclusive because you can just emulate it and play it at 60 FPS. So instead of dropping to 20 FPS all the time, it fucking blows. Sorry. But yeah, Breath of the Wild is great too.
I feel like I'm kind of anticipating like a second version of the Switch with like some improvements or something, like maybe like a bigger battery or something like that.
There are definitely some great improvements to make. Like, I have it behind me. I'm not gonna grab it and pull it out, but like the way the controllers are, like the really slim controllers don't really feel, when you put them in like the Joy-Con grip, it's not really that ergonomic. You could buy the Pro controller, but they're like $70.
Yeah.
So like they can make some ergonomic tweaks there. But as far as just a system, I'm really impressed with like there's no extra processing going on the dock. It's all going on the tablet. I'm really impressed with like what they were able to accomplish with that small hardware. And it's really impressive because you think about like, what if you have a power outage? You're not screwed because it's not going to turn off the Switch,
Yeah.
So because it's it's a tablet pretty much. So it's a really cool system. Oh, and like having this hands-on with it playing Mario has really kind of sold me on the Switch as well. So I think I think I'll work towards that later on. Yeah, and the Joy-Cons are pretty good quality also, but I fucking hate those little grips you slide on there. I struggle with those, dude. I cannot get those off sometimes. But no, the Switch is cool, and Mario Odyssey is great. You probably won't cry like me because I'm a little bitch, but
Yeah, probably not. I'm not a fucking pussy.
right, exactly.
Yeah, that's all right. At least you're
Yeah.
honest though about how it impacted you. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, it was so good.
sweet. All right. Well, let's real quick before we jump into some news here. We've got some stuff that's been happening on the website, and actually, our boy Brad with two reviews on the website. The first one is the Sennheiser Gsp 300, which is their kind of foray into what I understand to be like kind of affordable gaming headphones, and so you can check that out on the website. See what Brad has to say about those. And then the second is
he's got some nice high quality like GIFs in the review itself, which is nice. Like at first I thought it was auto playing video, but thank God it's not. There's no audio. It's just like showing you the product and like pulling down the microphone and stuff. But yeah, check out that review because it's I actually didn't realize these were out, but these kind of look like the little brother to the Sennheisers that I've used for quite a while, like at work. And $100 is like a lot better price point than the Game Ones and Game Zeros, which I think are normally like close to 200. So yeah, seems like a good addition to their lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he did a really good job with that write up. And then the second thing that he did was the Gigabyte 10 gigabyte express, I believe it is.
Gigabit. We're talking
gigabit.
About
excuse
speed.
me. Oh, and yes, networking. Excuse me. Yes, gigabit. Which again, express. Which looking at this, I was like, "What? I don't have my network. I could put this in, but it doesn't fucking matter for me because I got Comcast, boys." But depending on what you're connected to, if you're connected to fiber or whatever else, you can take a look at his breakdown of this product as well. So
I appreciate that he embedded the marketing chart provided by Gigabyte, which literally just says up to 10x faster than a 1 gigabit per second.
Thanks.
Wow. And then there's two bar lines. One of them is 1/10 what the other one is.
Whoa! Oh shit!
Wow, amazing. Yeah. So. Yeah, some good work by Brad this week on the website, so definitely check that out, as well as, of course, the multi-stream, the forums, the build guides if you want to get a friend, or if you have a friend who wants to build something. I feel like people always come in my chat. I had a couple questions this week about people being like, dude, I want a PC, but do I build one or do I buy one? It's always like, fucking build one and go to kbmod.com and look at the build guides.
Real quick update on the build guides. They're a little bit out of date right now, but I've been holding off on doing new ones because... I think we might have talked about this before, but the 8700K, which is kind of the new sweet spot i7 processor, has been out of stock for like basically since it launched, and it's still, I checked today, it's still out of stock on Amazon and Newegg. So I've been holding off on doing new guides because if someone asked me today, like, what should I build at this price point, I would tell them, can you wait like a month or two until these chips are actually in stock? Because if you build today without that chip, you're basically building a computer that's slightly behind the 8 ball compared to what's available.
Right.
So, so yeah, we're kind of holding off on build guides at the moment because I want to do one that has an 8700K in it, but I can't do that because they're literally out of stock everywhere. And so I'm not even sure what the price is because like they might be price gouging and stuff. So. If you've been waiting for a new build guide, I would say if you have to build right this second and you can't wait a little bit longer, then use our current one. Or alternately, I mean, we'll have another podcast before Black Friday hits, but Black Friday is coming up. So if you're kind of trying to look for a good deal, then I would say take a look at our build guide for ideas. But then if you're not as concerned about the specific brands we put in the build guide, keep an eye out on Black Friday deals, because if you're willing to like go with a slightly different brand or slightly different model, you can get some crazy tech deals on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So just keep that in mind.
All right. So check that stuff out on the website. And jumping from oh God. All right. I have a segue here. Just let me formulate it. We're talking about build guides, and in those build guides, you're gonna have an Intel processor. You're probably gonna have an NVIDIA video card. It's possible you could have an AMD video card, depending on what you decide to go with. But what if I told you that Intel, the long embattled company with AMD, has decided to join forces with that company to battle NVIDIA? What if I told you that Intel and AMD, definitely no strangers to conflict, they're like, yo, NVIDIA, we need to take you down a peg, and we're going to have to do it. We need to work together. I thought this was, when I saw the headline for this, I was trying to figure out like the motivations exactly of why they're doing this. As we kind of jump into the article, it makes a little bit more sense.
My
but first off,
segue
Brandon,
here was like, we've done 300 of these podcast episodes, and if you had asked me if we would ever hear that Intel and AMD were going to team up on a project, I would tell you we wouldn't hear that in any podcast we ever do. It would take 3,000 episodes before we'd hear that. But sure enough,
yes,
Intel and AMD teaming up to take on NVIDIA. And it sounds like
shit is dire.
I think they're pretty much trying to take on. They want to put AMD technology into Intel chips for the notebook market. So I guess it if you've been looking at, we don't really talk about the notebook market that often, but AMD has been a pretty strong player in kind of the thin and light type devices. Not so much in desktops and not so much in phones, but in in the stuff in between that, right? The stuff that's like smaller notebooks and things like that. So yeah, I mean, kind of out of left field, but Intel and AMD going to work together, and we don't really know that much about it. But they put out a press release and whatever. Like, they're making a big deal of it. It's just so weird that, I guess, when you have these large companies that work on so many different things and have so many different business units, that it was always like possible that they could become frenemies, where like they're working together in this one space, but then they compete in this other space. And I guess that's kind of what we see here. Obviously, like, they're still gonna be at each other's throats for desktop computing. But then when it comes to graphics, Intel's a little bit behind the eight ball there. So there's a lot of interesting detail in a PC World article here. They talked to some people from Intel and AMD, and there's some more details here. But if you care about that, I would say dig into the gnarly details. But we'll probably see that come to fruition with future notebooks.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting. I thought one of the interesting parts towards the end of the article was talking about how, like, with this partnership, Intel is going to be responsible for supplying the drivers for the Radeon GPU. So the company engineers won't write the original code. So, like, I guess they're going to I don't know. Like, they said that they're working closely with AMD's Radeon business to supply day one drivers. But it's like, anyway, it's just interesting stuff, because obviously these companies, competitors in at least one part of the marketplace, like you're talking about, Brandon. But then now working together, and it's like also kind of responsible for different pieces of how this will come together. It's like just funny. It's just weird to read. So
yeah, but I think you can kind of tell that Intel's scared of NVIDIA.
Yes, I was going to say that
dominant.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see, like, the fact that they're doing this. I was going to say that's the other facet of this is, they got to be not necessarily on their back foot, but they're like, to make a decision like this is, not maybe purely based out of fear, but feeling like they're going to, if they have any opportunity to gain any kind of ground, they're going to do it, even if it's teaming up with NVIDIA.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe Intel was able to get, good deal terms, because I think AMD in the graphics arena is probably concerned just for their existence, right? Like, NVIDIA has gained power, and like AMD has had some good recent quarters with their new products.
Right.
And they're comparing more favorably to Nvidia, but it's still, Nvidia is still a top dog in the graphics market. So I wonder how this deal came together and how long they've been working on it. But it does seem like Intel and AMD both are like concerned, would have reason to be concerned with Nvidia becoming more dominant, because both of them, like Intel can't necessarily afford to lose out on having a good graphics chip in these light computers, and AMD can't afford for Nvidia to own this market. So like both of them don't want to let Nvidia gain a foothold here, but neither one really has the power to like compete themselves. That's kind of my read on the situation. So it's like a sort of unlikely partnership, but also in this case it's like Intel's the top dog on the CPU side. AMD has better technology on the graphics side than Intel, and Intel needs to have like a chip that has better graphics than Intel has traditionally done in like their baked-in chips. So interesting to see. Nice. And it sounds like they're not targeting value computers here. It's going to be like the 1,000+ market, like 1,200+ market. So I could see this stuff in like sort of MacBook style notebooks, like Ultrabooks, small form factor, but kind of higher end hardware. Interesting stuff. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
Definitely. We'll keep an eye on it. So obviously pretty shocking headline, but makes sense. Their powers combined. We'll see what they can do up against NVIDIA.
That
Moving
was not
on
the
from
only
that.
shocking headline this week, Scott.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
There it is.
EA.
That wasn't Brandon. The other shocking headline was this little doozy. EA is set to acquire Respawn Entertainment.
Here's my question. Is that shocking? Because I'm not very shocked.
Yeah, I thought they already had
Like,
them.
very unshocked.
Didn't they?
More
think
so
the
that the fact that they just
the timing is maybe the shocking part, because we just had a news story
Oh.
recently that they just
shut
closed
down
down
the whole
Visceral, and so it's like it's just weird timing. And I'm sure it's not weird because like EA is a large company, and so these two things presumably are not related. But it sounds like also something I learned, and I didn't know this when I just read the press release, but it sounds like this was brought on because Nexon made a bid to buy Respawn, and EA exercised a contractual right to match the offer and then outbid Nexon. So it sounds like EA basically didn't want to lose they didn't want to lose control effectively of the Titanfall franchise, which, EA has published the Titanfall games. So there's been a pretty close relationship between Respawn and EA since the start. The thing that surprised me was the price. Like,
$500 million basically.
Yeah, so it's 151 million cash, up to 164 million in stock options, and up to 140 million based on milestones and achievements relating to future titles. So presumably like bonuses and stuff, depending on how well their future games perform. So a total value.
I'm really curious what their Star Wars game is.
Yeah,
that they're working on.
Like total value up to $455 million. That just is bonkers to me. Like, in what world would I ever imagine Respawn is worth nearly $500 million? It just seems crazy.
Definitely not.
Eighth of what Star Wars sold for, I think, right?
Right. Like, that seems insane. I mean, I don't even know how well. I mean, I know that the second Titanfall, like, people really enjoyed, but did it even sell that well? I felt like
that was the issue.
Yeah, it didn't sell.
That was the issue. Is they put it between Battlefield and Call of Duty, so the launch sales were not very good. So, like, honestly, I know a lot of people are seeing this, and they're basically seeing it as like a death is imminent for Respawn because they're being handed over to EA, and I totally get that perspective because that is clearly that's in their track record. But like, EA already fucked around with Respawn before they even owned them. Like, they pretty much shit on Titanfall 2's lawn before they were, even when they were just a publisher. So like, I get why people are upset that Respawn is picking him up, but like, Respawn's only 2 games are published by EA, so it's like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's like I'm just happy like that there's a Titanfall 3 happening at all.
Yes.
Because like after the launch of Titanfall 2 and the sales, I was like, this might be it. It might be like we get the good sequel and then that's it.
What a game.
How much of this purchase do you think? I mean, obviously, if it was competing against Nexon, like part of it was just protecting, something they had control over and didn't want to lose. But do you think with the purchase, they will look to make Titanfall like sort of another tentpole EA franchise, the way that Battlefield
I don't know.
is?
That must be something that they're trying to do. I mean, that definitely that was what they've always been trying to do. Especially since the first one, they definitely wanted the first one to take off, and then I don't know, it didn't really necessarily stick as much, and then people were kind of wary of the sequel and the release date and all that. But yeah, just I guess they want it to be like up there with their Battlefield, all those kinds of things. But
I feel like you wouldn't pay this much for it unless you.
I mean, but that
really
also comes back to the Star Wars thing. Like, do they what? I don't know exactly what the details of their Star Wars game are. Is it like a multiplayer game where they think it's going to be like that they're going to recoup all the money that they're investing? Like, I don't know, because
maybe so.
Maybe if you just have one big Star Wars game, what do you think what's Battlefront going to sell? Like Call of Duty did like 500 mil, right? In like the first weekend or something. It's like Yeah, that's a single release, so it's like there must be something there that they think is gonna.
Isn't it? It's a single player. Well, I mean, I'm sure there'll be
single player game.
But isn't it?
Oh yeah, is this the one with the lady
story?
from? Or did she stop working? Like it was
Yeah.
somebody from Uncharted or something like that.
Yes, that was the one that was working on it. I think
Yeah, maybe they think that's going to be huge, and I mean it is Star Wars, so it's probably going to sell pretty well. Yeah,
I'm super.
I could see
down for,
Titanfall. Titanfall could definitely it's Titanfall 2 is great. It's like if you could redo it again and put it somewhere reasonable to release, like it could definitely do well.
Yeah, and I'm super down. Like I'm down for like. I mean, again, we obviously think of Uncharted, so it's like really really solid single player. It's like if there's. I don't know, like the Star Wars game, that really, I don't really think there has been a really good single player Star Wars experience in a very long time, right? I mean, I know there's going to be single player with Battlefront, and
that's still to be determined.
But to be determined how good that is. But like, maybe they see that. Maybe they see Titanfall as being a tentpole, like you were saying, Brandon. Like they're going to try to turn it into, and again, like a lot of the Titanfall stuff was like the game was really good, like critically, like people really liked it. And then it was just the worst decisions of like release time. Just bizarre. I mean, they must have done it because like they had those goals like far in advance or whatever. But I don't know.
The odd thing too is like I would oddly rather see Respawn be in the hands of EA than Nexon, to be completely honest.
That's what I feel like is sort of the background here. That how much of this is just like when EA hears that Nexon is trying to buy them. How much of it is just like scrambling to say, "Oh wow, we have so much going on with them already with the Star Wars thing." Right. We've been talking about Titanfall 3. Like how much of this was just EA trying to claw together a bid because it's like we can't lose this studio that we have multiple ongoing projects with to Nexon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure Nexon could probably. There's definitely the Titanfall free-to-play model is there. Like you could definitely do it, but yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about Nexon.
Well, apparently Nexon is the publisher for a mobile spin-off of a Titanfall game.
Oh yeah, they do have a mobile game. That is right.
Yeah. But I mean, props to Respawn, because I imagine all those employees will do very well. Like I don't know how many employees they have, but I don't think it's that many. And getting a potentially $455 million buyout, that's a pretty awesome payday for those folks.
That's pretty solid for them. All right. Well, again, we'll keep our eye on that and see what happens. Like, I want to hear more about that Star Wars game whenever it gets revealed. And again, for people that like the
we'll hear
Titanfall
about that soon.
Yeah, like.
I wonder if which one will come first, Titanfall 3 or the Star Wars game.
Yeah, I feel like Star Wars because it's been talked about for like a while.
Yeah, probably.
Haven't heard anything. All right. Well, jumping from companies that are acquiring personnel and people, how about a company that's deciding to cut? to cut some people, and that company, folks, is Telltale Games. Telltale Games has cut 90 staff, which is about 25% of its workforce. So I'm gonna let you do that math real quick. They have a lot of people working at Telltale, and a lot more. You were saying, Nick, in the pre-show, a lot more than you would think would work there, especially considering. Again, not to. It's a bummer that a bunch of people are losing their job. That's never good. But like when we look at Telltale Games and we constantly talk about the engine that hasn't been updated and forever.
The games are very copy pasty.
Right, it's like it's mostly story.
They've got the formula down, but they're not really changing. Like, is this amount of people necessary for your output? I understand they're always doing like multiple projects at one time. Like they're always churning shit out, but like that just seems like that's way too much.
I was surprised. Like, I mean, 360, 370 people. Staff.
Yeah,
like that is a much larger company than I would have guessed Telltale was. Like, I would have thought a company like Telltale maybe be 100 people. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say around 100. I would think. So, I mean, again, maybe that's what they're realizing. I mean, they had a lot of success. They've sold tons of copies of different games and franchises that they've done. So
for going off of their Batman game, it feels like 10 people. Am I right?
God, no, it's true though. It's like so I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I feel like I don't know what I don't know what the Batman sold, and I mean I know that they have Guardians of the Galaxy and on the way. Did that come out yet, or do they still? I don't know if that game came out.
It's been out.
Coming.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Not completely, but I mean it's been released.
Okay, yeah, like one's out.
Right.
I don't know. Are people still playing Telltale games at an insane rate? I feel like I don't hear about it as much anymore.
It seems like it's died down. I don't know if the sales necessarily reflect that though.
Never forget, Nick.
They've been doing a ton of licensed projects. That's what seems like they've shifted in the past, let's say, a couple years. From like they obviously started with Walking Dead, which is like, I guess a licensed project.
Well, their entire history has been licensed project. I'm pretty sure their first big game, I don't know if it was their first game, but the first one in the style of game they're known for was Back to the Future, and then their second was Jurassic Park.
Nick, when you fucking stream that, that's what I was gonna say. Never forget Nick Fenton streaming Jurassic Park.
And I almost passed out while streaming that from laughing. It was
like so fucking bad. Like
really bad.
It was bad. And then retroactively, after everyone shit on it and we watched it, and then they had success with like The Walking Dead and stuff, you go back and that game has like 90-something% on Steam now. And it used to have go look at Jurassic Park now. It was like
it's in mixed reviews right now.
Oh, it does it? Okay, good.
Yeah,
well, then maybe
but it's definitely
it was way
it's
higher.
It's definitely much better. Yeah. Everything is licensed from them. I mean, the furthest thing is like The Wolf Among Us, but that's like
Wolf Among Us is like
a comic.
Yeah, that one was a comic, and that one was good. Wolf Among Us is really solid, I think, overall. But
it's still the Telltale machine is still churning out games. Like there was Guardians of the Galaxy, Story Mode Season 2, and then another Batman. The Enemy Within. Those all came out 2017 and are still churning out episodes.
Yeah, they've always got like 3 or 4 things going on. It seems like.
That's what feels like the difference to me is I guess the number of licensed projects. Like they started out and you were like Walking Dead, and that was the Telltale game for a while, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone was excited for the new Walking Dead stuff to come out, but then like Wolf Among Us, it also felt like that was kind of what they had going on. Was Wolf Among Us was like the next Telltale game, but now it's like you can't even keep track of all the different Telltale games. Like every now and then on Steam, or like we'll talk about upcoming releases, and there'll just be some new Telltale like licensed product coming out. And I feel like it's just there's so much like who is playing all these games? Who wants to play?
They need to just bring it down to like instead of like 3 to 4, just bring it down to two games maybe, just so you can get a little more polished.
It feels so
more
scattershot.
Focus,
Like it feels like whoever their BD folks are out there just like signing deal after deal, and then they have to come through and actually make these games. I don't know. It seems like they're that incoming funnel of like licenses that want to have Telltale make their games.
Yeah,
it seemed like it was just really large, and maybe some. I mean, I don't know what happened internally, but maybe that intake was too large, and then the output, sort of suffered. But man, having to lay off 25% of your staff,
That's a lot.
that is
Yeah,
a lot.
that's
That is
crazy.
not a small number.
No.
That's enough to. I feel like that's enough to almost disrupt your daily operations, like cutting
Actually,
25 people or 25% of your workforce at once.
When it happened, that shit was trending on Twitter. Telltale was trending on my Twitter. Like that's how big of a story that was. I mean,
Yeah.
at least it was for me. It was not like worldwide.
I would love to know what their marketing department looks like, because for how well Telltale is known, I feel like I never hear about any of their upcoming releases too much. And it may have to do with the fact that the quantity of games that are coming out, like maybe their marketing department just can't keep up with it. But I feel like I never hear anything about it.
Yeah,
and every now
it's
and then I'll hear
hard to.
oh, by the way, a new Telltale game came out.
Must be hard to expose people to 4 of your
exactly.
titles on an annual basis.
I'm wondering
Yeah,
if
one
part of the downsizing is like now they're going to try to incorporate they're taking their marketing into consideration a little bit more and actually being able to push for like 2 games instead of trying to just basically keep up with 4+.
Yeah, that's weird. When I think of Telltale, I don't think of the company. I feel like, when I think of Telltale's new games, I don't think, oh man, what new game are they going to make next? I think, okay, what franchise are they going to put through?
Apply the same thing to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I almost feel like it's impossible at this point for Telltale to even come out with an original story, because I mean, like, if their previous works, I mean.
It also seems like a lot of these are like they're coming out and like you do hear about like, oh, this new Telltale game is good, but also it seems like half of the time it's like, you could probably pass on it.
Yeah. I feel like when those games come out, you're only gonna really care about the Guardians of the Galaxy if you really like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like same
Yeah.
for every other game.
It feels like the licensed stuff they've been doing leans into people that are already fans of that franchise rather than bringing in new people to become fans of that franchise. And I feel like that's the thing Walking Dead probably did. Like, I'm not a Walking Dead fan, but the fact that I played the Walking Dead game, like, I didn't end up watching the series, but I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I like this game. I might give the series a shot. But the other games, like, I'm not. You're right, Nick. I'm like, they just seem forgettable. It's like I don't care that much about like Guardians of the Galaxy, where I would buy the game to become like more engrossed in that world. So unless you really love Guardians of the Galaxy, like, are you gonna spend your money when there's so many good games coming out already? Like, are you gonna spend your money on another Telltale game in that universe?
Yeah, it's hard to sell on a repeated choose your own adventure style thing.
Yeah.
When you can't really, there's not really much changing.
Yep.
And there's no choosing part of that adventure. It's just bullshit.
Yeah, kind of.
Katie,
now all of the affected employees get to choose their own adventure.
Hopefully they go make what was the one on PS4, that PS4 exclusive, Until Dawn, or what was it called?
Yeah, Detroit Human or Detroit.
No, not that game.
Not David Cage.
No, not
Until
David
Dawn.
Cage.
It's Until
Yeah,
Dawn.
I mean, I feel like Until Dawn is a good example of like. I mean, I didn't play it, but I heard a lot of good things
It's
and saw
fun.
some. It
was
yeah,
cool.
it looks fun. It seems like it's a similar style game, but I mean, yeah, there's. You
But
can
it's
do,
done in like
you can do more
photorealistic-
fun things.
Yeah, you do more stuff. It's done in like it looked really good.
Yeah.
It was like the
Beautiful
engine that it was
game.
on was pretty beautiful. Yeah, so yeah, there's ways to do it right, for sure. It's just, yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll go on to that. That's the other thing. I can't wait for the next Until. They're supposed to make another. The studio that did that is making another Until Dawn kind of game,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
know what they've been doing.
I can't wait for
Does
that.
anyone have a segue for this quick hit, real quick, before we do?
I actually mentioned this earlier. I didn't even see it in the document about Call of Duty hitting 500 million. 'cause
Yes,
I
you did.
didn't even. I'm sorry to spoil it, but yeah.
Well,
Wow, dude.
So that's our transition, and I accidentally dropped this fact
You did.
earlier in
Oh,
the
wow.
podcast without
Yes.
looking at the document part.
Yes,
I got a segue.
500 million over the weekend.
500 mil.
I got a segue.
And that's twice as many
Call of Duty
as last
made $5.5 million for every affected Telltale employee this past
Wow, that math.
Wow.
Look at that. Amazing. Really rubbing it in for those poor Telltale employees, Brandon.
weekend. Well,
It's still pretty
I-
impressive that Call of Duty is dropping 500 mil.
I know.
I guess it's not like super surprising, but
No.
I don't
It
know.
is no, Nick. You're not wrong. It is surprising. That's why Activision literally like issued a press release about it.
they're like, we're still making money.
We're relevant as hell. What the
In
hell?
like in case you forgot that Activision Blizzard is a publicly traded company,
Right.
they issued a press release to let you know that Call of Duty World War II had a $500 million opening weekend. The thing I found weird about this is that they all like the phrasing they used. One, they call it opening weekend, and they compare
Which
it
is
to
movie
movies.
speak.
They
Right.
compare it to movies, and so
Yeah.
like this is some weird double speak going on because
Yeah.
Call of Duty is a $60 game. Seeing a movie generally not $60.
Yeah,
No.
that's like a game is like 3 or 4 people going and seeing a movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so they
is-
they let us
That's
know.
kind of smart though, the way that they're doing that. Actually, though, that's pretty clever. I think
On their
Calling
end,
it-
yeah.
on their end. I'm not saying it's this. It doesn't translate necessarily the same, but for people that maybe aren't as who are going to read Business Wire, right?
I
And
think
they're gonna be like,
I
"Oh."
think that if I had to guess, I believe they're probably just trying to position themselves as
yes,
like a form of media that is as
Yeah,
impactful as movies, and
Right.
so they're
Like,
comparing
they kinda
themselves
are,
directly
though.
to movies.
They basically are.
Yeah,
I mean, did you guys see also their investor things, their like things about Destiny 2? They were just
Mhm.
there was a lot of investor talk, and Activision was just like pleasing the investors. They're like, yeah, there's a lot of retention. We have, this Destiny 2, it's already the average amount of revenue it's bringing in is already higher than Destiny 1. Like this is how they're talking to the investors about the game. It's just
Yeah,
very
right.
like apparent that it's just all
but
money.
I mean that makes sense. I think the only reason I have a slight issue with it is because you're comparing apples and oranges. Like when you say
Right.
you're beating box office openings, like
Yes.
this is a very different. You're selling a very different product than Thor Ragnarok and Wonder Woman in movie theaters.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
But
a lot of like very odd wording throughout this entire article. I mean, when I hear Call of Duty World War II, I don't think of the gripping personal narrative multiplayer and the terrifying Nazi zombies mode.
Ooh, I'm spooked playing
And
Nazis
then
on.
it's followed up by the CEO of Activision saying, "We challenged our players to get their squads back together, and they answered the call." Like they were like, "Hey guys, we noticed you're not playing Call of Duty. We challenge you to play Call of Duty," and then they did it.
We challenge you.
Will
As
you wanna-
Activision, do you have the balls to play Call of Duty?
To get back into Call of Duty.
I mean, that was their whole marketing thing. I I have cable, so their whole thing was like, yeah,
Like
it was
getting
like
the squad together?
Yeah, that was their angle. I think it was smart. I mean, clearly, how much of the marketing and stuff is hard to know, really. Like the whole combination of like the fatigue of how terrible overall people felt the last Call of Duty was, and like
well,
we're in the
that's
fucking moon.
Scott.
running
That is
around.
the juicy. Like that's the juicy read between the lines here.
Yes,
Is
They're
one of-
basically subtweeting
one of the
Infinity
lines,
Ward over here.
Yeah, one of the lines.
yes.
One sentence here stands out. Overall unit sales at launch doubled year over year globally. What
Yeah.
that tells you is Infinite Warfare was awful.
Yes.
They doubled Infinite Warfare's sales.
Global sales.
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Do you think they'll ever like drop Infinity Ward as one of their 3 developers and like bring somebody else in as a third?
That'd be unreal.
I'm saying if it's gonna be any year, it's gonna be this year. There's gonna be like Sledgehammer make the next one too. I think they gotta give it.
Sledgehammer did 2 of the 3
Do it
years.
I mean, when
Yeah,
you think about it too,
words.
that they packaged Infinite Warfare with Modern Warfare Remastered, so they were like you were getting
True.
more game last year, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But man, to double sales, like it just seems wild to me because Call of Duty already sells so many units that year over year, one title would double the sales of the previous title. That tells you how bad last year was. Like that's why that's why when you launch this game and it sells as well as it did, yeah, you definitely issue a press release.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
love-
and we talked about it ad nauseum last year when that game came out, and people were just like, "Yeah, it's not good." And then they had the whole all that drama with like trying to package in the COD 4 remaster, and people were mad about the price, all of it. Like the whole thing was pretty much a disaster. It sold clearly, like you're saying, way, way less. And we were like, okay, is this finally going to be in the next couple of years? Is Call of Duty going to go to a model that isn't a $60 release every time? And then the boots on the ground stuff came out, and we were like, okay, well, that's interesting. They're gonna, and I mean, clearly, it's paid off. But how? The other interesting caveat is like how much of advanced warfare fucking blowing massive chunks of whatever it was blowing contributed to the success of this game as well. Like, did the fact that game that pretty much overall people were pretty annoyed with it.
Do they make enough?
Contribute?
Do they make enough off of this game doing well to potentially weather another storm of like a couple back-to-back bad titles that people slowly those sales dip? I think that's an interesting question, and one that leads to a question like Nick's, where like do they change up the developers involved and or move to some different model? Like when you're a game as big as Call of Duty, I feel like you have to know it's such a big risk that one year you can double sales and the next year you might have the sales. Like that you can't operate sustainably not being able to predict, year over year what a game as big as Call of Duty is going to do. So I don't know. Like now that World War II is out, and congrats Activision, you did well on this one, at least according to the sales. But what the conversation now shifts to, what do you do next? Because this is like you only really get to reboot the whole boots on the ground idea once. You get to hook in the old players once. What do you do next year to keep them interested and not have that cycle repeat itself? And that's the at least $250 million question.
Does anybody want to put in your guesses right now, and then we can like go back in the future and look at them?
Yeah, we should put it in.
I have no proof of this. I have no reason, but I'm gonna go with Vietnam.
Vietnam for the next
one.
one.
I would love that. That'd be great.
They might. I think they're just, honestly, this may sound like, I agree with Earl's talking in the chat about this. I think they're just gonna like repeat the cycle from World War II chronologically to a certain extent. So like could be Vietnam, like Cold War, like maybe like today's war, even like Iraq, Afghanistan, maybe, well, not today's war, like 10 years ago. Could do that.
Yeah, they're just at the modern warfare.
But like again, but like just go, and kind of like chronologically do it, because I think those games were, I mean, you had COD 4 remastered and stuff like that, but to have like a fresh game and like campaign and whatever else, like I could see them just kind of going chronologically from World War II and forward.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't know if I don't know if Vietnam. I feel like Vietnam doesn't seem to resonate as well. Like Vietnam is never.
That is true.
Focus on Vietnam.
True. Other than Battlefield, but which is an expansion.
That's the thing.
My thought on that is like, what else could you possibly do a Call of Duty on that Call of Duty specifically hasn't done before? I know like Battlefield has done different Vietnam editions in a couple different games.
I think they probably just try and reboot, because like World War II they hadn't done since the earlier days of the series, and so you can sort of just repeat that concept.
Yeah, maybe it is like a modern warfare.
I would bet. Yeah. I'm gonna bet like Desert Storm. So sort of like not quite Modern Warfare, but
a little further back, slightly back.
Yeah,
that could be good.
I played Desert Storm,
especially because like I feel like that would be almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So like there's not as much emotional attachment to Desert Storm.
Yeah, that is true.
You can probably tell some interesting story without upsetting people too much around like terrorism and whatever.
It's kind of weird thinking back to playing like Desert Storm games even like 10 years ago. And just like, I'm just playing something that was the news recently. Like something that basically just like a few years ago. We'll just reenact this.
I feel like there's especially I'm gonna add some elaboration here. Like I think with stuff like Stranger Things and other stuff that's sort of like people seem to be into that 80s, maybe early 90s nostalgia right now. This would probably be a good time to place a bet on something in like Desert Storm. Not quite present day, but still, you can lean into like, I don't know, the same stuff Stranger Things does, is like,
Yeah.
you know, calling people on a telephone and you know, whatever.
Right. The next Call of Duty is Stranger Things.
That's what Brandon's guess is. We're gonna get straight to the back.
Just shoot Eggo waffles at each other.
God damn it.
I mean,
Hear me out.
look, media imitates media. Stranger Things does well. Call of Duty is not the bastion of new ideas that we typically look for out of the video game industry. They're going to look at what else is successful, what are the current trends, and like stuff like Stranger Things, digging into that 80s, 90s nostalgia. That feels like the next easy play for them. Because I don't think you can go present. I don't think you can go.
I'll take
present
anything
day.
at this point.
Like, if they went straight to Modern Warfare times, like, they're skipping over a lot of stuff. And I kind of agree with Scott that I think you can sort of, you're already going back so far in time that you can sort of reset that cycle of let's slowly move forward in time, because people didn't react well to the future games. And so the future games, I think the future games feel like a much bigger bet than I feel like something with Desert Storm would be. Like,
right, and I don't think they do. I even think once we get up to, like, let's say they do those couple games, like let's say there's like 3 more Call of Duties, and then we're starting to knock on, or even two or three, I guess 3, and then we're like on Advanced Warfare territory again, that they're gonna reboot it or do something even more off the wall. I don't think we're gonna see another Advanced Warfare for a while.
They can almost bide their time if they want to, if they're, because we've talked about this several times, like Call of Duty just going to a service-based model, like a lot of games have. And Call of Duty is the one big game that has not done that. So maybe in 3,
just to give you a staple.
Yeah, in like maybe 2 or 3 games out
more
in the future,
iterations.
They can sort of bide their time with these more sure bets, and then maybe try and make a big, you know, some big change instead of going into those future games again.
Maybe they need like a Destiny style model where it's like you do the game release, 2 DLCs, an expansion, and then you're on to the next one.
Yeah.
I think my ideal setting for Call of Duty.
Well, that's also on a 2-year scale. Also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think I thought Black Ops 2 was like a pretty good time period for Call of Duty, because it wasn't too like uncomfortably advanced like sci-fi. It was kind of like a good middle ground where I feel like 2030 or something, there's enough room for them to kind of like make up their own premise as far as like war goes. So like I wouldn't mind them doing another like fictional war in a slightly futuristic setting. Like I mean that's like my ideal Call of Duty right there. I mean, no jetpacks, of course, but
I think like I feel like the challenge will be that they had a string of present day Call of Duty games, but that was like the height of Call of Duty. That was when everyone, you know, YouTubers were doing Call of Duty stuff. Like everyone was into Call of Duty for this period of time, and so you had a lot of present day games in a row. But are people going to buy Call of Duty 4 years in a row if you have that string of present day games that from the marketing looks pretty similar to the last game? Like, I think they've got to take bigger swings now to get people to pay attention, and sometimes those pay off, like the World War II one did, but sometimes they don't, like the future ones did. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see how Call of Duty keeps people interested, because this one trick they used this time, like probably isn't going to work next year or maybe even the year after.
Yeah. No.
So like, how do they keep
resets.
people interested when you only get this reset button maybe every 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you too. I think again, it's so hard to walk. The problem again, it keeps going back to like Activision and all their investors and stuff like that. It's like it's so hard for them to walk away from the $60 purchase, right? For people to be in at $60, because they can have their. It's where we talk about like the DLC or like the loot crates, right, and all the stuff that they can do. It's like they can do the $60 and the people will buy all the cosmetic stuff anyway. Right. Yeah. So, but I think if it gets to that point where they go, okay, well, we'll make a game. It'll be $60, but then we're gonna do almost like the Counter-Strike model or something else where we update that game over like a course of like 4 or 5 years before we do another game. But we have a lot of, like you said, content stuff and skins and whatever else, and we can make our money with that. I don't know. It's still like, I think with this I think we would have been closer to that. Like, I think if World War II was on pace to sell as poorly as the game previously did, I think they would have looked at that a lot more seriously. And now I think it just resets the cycle for another. I mean, it has to, right? For another 3 or 4 years.
I think you're right. We're not like they've just proven that they haven't lost the mojo completely. That like they can turn it on with the right set of circumstances and the right setting and all of that. But I think you have to assume that they've been thinking about other ways to position Call of Duty, because you want it to be this big every year, and having these wild swings in interest isn't good for, well, it's not good for their financials, but I think perhaps more importantly, especially with everyone wanting to be in the esports space, it's not good for their esports scene. Like for as mature a game as Call of Duty is, their esports scene is like not where it should be, and I think that may be the catalyst to moving Call of Duty in a different direction than like a yearly release. I think, like Nick was talking about, doing a Destiny style thing where maybe you move to every 2 years or every 3 years instead of doing like a service based thing like CSGO, where basically there is probably no successor to CSGO on the horizon for Valve, because it's just going to be CSGO for a really, really, really long time. Maybe Call of Duty doesn't go quite that far, but they stop doing yearly releases and they do 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. Right, something more predictable with a where you can build stability around your esports scene.
A year of like playing it, reboot, like getting into the swing of things, and then it's just like, all right, we're back to zero again. Sweet.
Yeah,
like that's not good for like a community, for teams or anything.
I have to feel like, if you're Call of Duty, you look at your sister Blizzard and what they're doing with like Hearthstone and Overwatch and these games that become, that they build a huge community around these games as a service, and Call of Duty just stands in such stark contrast to that. I have to imagine
they're going to want that model at some point.
Right. If they had a really good idea for how to get that model today for Call of Duty, I think they would take it in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. The whole esports aspect is, so massive, important. Like you said, been by Big Daddy Blizzard, like so heavily invested in with Overwatch, and they got to be looking at that and figuring out a way. At one point, I was almost going to say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they released a Call of Duty that was like their esports version. That they wanted everyone to stay on that. Do you know what I mean? And like that's their, like, this is our competitive Call of Duty.
Honestly wouldn't be a bad thing either. Is like if you leave the multiplayer as a service, and then like every year you come out with a campaign that features the mechanics of a Call of Duty, like you sprint and run, but like it's in a different setting. Like give it to me, like I'll pay $30 every year for like a different Call of Duty campaign or something.
But I think that's the thing, is you just said you'd pay $30 for that. If you won't pay $60,
that's going to be hard to get Activision to do.
Exactly. If you're not like that's.
But also like imagine like maybe you pay $20 a year for like it's like an annual subscription to Call of Duty multiplayer for $20 a year or something like that.
Yeah. No,
so
I think
buy
all of that. I think all that makes sense. It's just that's such a different distribution model than they have today, that the risk of cutting off this apparently massive amount of people that were buying Call of Duty every year, even when it was really bad, like just turning off that spigot of money because you want to change to a games as a service model. Like I understand why they're not killing that golden goose, but I feel like now they don't have to necessarily, but I think they'd be foolish not to be considering it, especially when Blizzard has done such a good job of this. That I'm not good in the sense that everything is successful, but a good job in like building people's interest in their games over a long term. And you look at something like Hearthstone. Hearthstone's already 3 years old, or 3 years old, 3+ years old. Like the fact that game is still has a still a thriving player base, thriving esports scene. I think tells you that like Activision, if they're not talking to Blizzard about this stuff, then that would be crazy. That'd be crazy, because they basically have access to the people who understand how to do this at a large scale.
Yeah.
I would love to see Call of Duty sort of split into a service where the multiplayer stays more stable and the single player changes settings all the time. But I would be so shocked if that happened, because people seem to be okay with the multiplayer changing drastically every year. I don't know.
COD just needs a Master Chief Collection version for Call of Duty, all right? Where all the games are just in one. You go into matchmaking, you just hit play, and it just puts you in one random version of Call of Duty.
Every version.
But everybody else has. You can have any gun from any Call of Duty at any time. You're playing Soph McTavish versus a fucking dude from World War II. Some guy also has a jetpack and it's totally unbalanced. You're just like running around as a World War II guy, and there's a guy with a fucking jetpack, a robot.
Who was that guy from Black Ops that died? No
spoilers.
Oh, come on. He was a World War also. What was his name?
I don't remember.
Reznov fighting like a cyborg from Black Ops 3.
That sounds about right.
That'd be great.
That sounds about right.
I think it was
You
Reznov.
don't spoil games that have storylines that I'm still looking forward to. That's on my to play list this Christmas.
That's the third level.
I'm waiting for it to go on sale.
Hey, you know what? I don't want you to
get
spoil.
it on sale now on Steam. Call of Duty's having quite a good sale. You can get Modern Warfare 3 for $24.99.
Fuck yeah!
Great deal. Thanks,
The one where Soph McTavish dies.
Oh, don't.
Wow. There it is.
I'll just spoil that for everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't even play that either. I just know it happens.
No. All right. Okay, then how about you spoil the new releases for us?
All right. So, in Battlefront 2, Han Solo dies. Sorry about that.
Jesus.
No, but so yeah, first up, Battlefront 2 is coming out November 17th. It's gonna
Still undecided.
Same.
Yeah. Did you get a chance?
I want to, but I also don't want to. I did play the beta and I liked it, but also I'm playing Destiny and it's $60, so I don't know.
It's a lot of $60 games.
If reviews come in and it's like the campaign is pretty good, I'll probably swing it. But
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, so yeah, November 17th, you can go through your favorite distribution on Origin to get your hands on it. I know I will. Next up is Harvest Moon Light of Hope. This game doesn't look too notable, but it looks like a phone game. But I just thought it was interesting that Harvest Moon is making its way on Steam. Maybe that'll inspire some ports of like the previous games in the series, because I didn't personally play it, but I know people who are obsessed with
Shouldn't people just be playing Stardew Valley?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, maybe
I haven't played Stardew Valley yet, but that's all I know is like that's the farming game right now.
Yeah, well, hopefully this will inspire. They'll port like the best Harvest Moon on Steam, and then Daddy will show all the kids who's the king of life sim games.
Okay, I don't know if I hope this Harvest Moon game never comes then.
Daddy.
I don't know, the daddy of life sims, but no, that's Daddy. 14th. Yeah. Also, November 14th, Injustice 2 is coming out on Steam. No word on a price yet. It'll probably be $60. But I could see them dropping the price a little bit after being more than a few months after it's come out. But yeah, it's going to be on Steam at long last. Hopefully, it'll maintain a player base. Most fighting games on Steam don't, but you never know. Those were the only good games coming out this week, but there are a couple incredible games we must talk about. The first one releasing is called There is a Genie in My Szechuan Sauce. I think I said it right. And it is a choose-your-own adventure featuring live-action recordings of a group of millennials adventuring about Szechuan sauce. It's
how do I get this a cease and desist?
Yeah, this is actually offensive to me. Like for real, I'm offended watching this, like this trailer.
I didn't even click in the link in the document. I just saw the title, and I just know I want it gone.
Of all the games we've talked about, thus like in the new releases section, this is the first one that I think I actually could make myself.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you
no,
could
you're
learn
right.
to code something like this.
Like other
Can you make a game on like Squarespace? Is that possible? Can I just put the blocks together?
It's just like a choose your own
games,
adventure
like,
PowerPoint.
require downloading tools that I probably don't have on my PC right now. This game, like I actually think I could probably make this game with what I have on my PC right now.
Oh, definitely.
You probably
Definitely.
Comes out in 5 hours, you guys. I think I might stay up for
It
this.
unlocks. It's from it's the 4th game from BMC Studios. They've made
Damn.
no, it's the 5th game. They've made 4 other
Damn.
live action choose your own adventure games.
In these
Spanning
screenshots,
from,
this kid is wearing a shirt with meme text on it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah.
so
Yep.
fucking bad.
He has fidget spinners over his eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, APL will stream this, and
This
I
looks
kinda
like it
want
was
to-
made
I
in
want
an
it.
afternoon, like at
How much
at,
money
at
do we
his
know how
brother's
much
house.
it's gonna be?
Like,
Is it
no
a
price.
price?
Their
All the other
their
ones
other
are like
games are like
99
$1.
cents. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll buy it for $1
If you
just to see how bad
can't
it is.
wait 5
Fuck it,
hours
yeah.
while this
Fuck
game
it.
releases, you can play one of their other titles, like Zombie Tato's The End of the PC Master Race.
Oh my god.
I actually kind of
What
want
a
to know.
title.
Not only
kinda
that, not
want
only
to
can you
know.
play Zombie Autos, you can actually get the Game of the Year edition, which is actually cheaper than the original version right now.
Oh, good deal, good deal. Nice spot. Deality dang.
Oh wow.
I'm actually adding this to my favorites, so I remember to buy it tomorrow.
I really,
so
I
can see
really,
it.
I feel like this is
Stream this.
gold mine. I feel like there's a lot of potential in these.
fucking
you have
terrible.
to. That'd be great.
I actually
Well-
feel like this game would go nicely in your stream, Scott.
Yeah, actually, it would. People would
Definitely.
probably, this does fit my stream style, so we'll see.
So yeah,
Fuck,
in a jump from so bad it's good to absolute garbage.
Mm.
So this developer, Nikita Ghost Russ Games, is notorious. They've got another game coming out called The Fidget Spinner in Space, where you guide a fidget spinner through the space.
that's it.
They're the company behind Deep Dark Fantasies, which was that Gachigasm visual novel, which turns out they actually are selling, and they didn't get permission for the likenesses of the people from those movies, but they're still selling it anyways. They released a game called Boy Next Door, which is also a Gachi reference, which description reads, escape from the gay boys and bodybuilders and get it to the gay club at any cost.
All right, I need a link. I need a link to that name.
I'll put that in chat.
Yeah, I
It's
need a
Boy
link to
Next
that.
Door. And they're back at it again. Fuck. This next game is called Deep Gachigasm. It reads, fly and destroy slaves. Billy Carringtons. These are actually the names of the gay porn stars. Billy Garringtons, Mark Pulfs, Ricardo Hilses, Kazuas, and punish their assholes. That is real on the Steam description. It is it looks like a Galaga clone where you just shoot low res images of the Gachigasm actors. This is disgusting. This business practice is just
Believe
like
I appreciate that in the about the last control that they list is escape to leave, because that's going to be really important when you start playing.
That's gonna be number
yeah.
one.
It's the main
Yeah.
function of the game.
Yeah,
Can't
gotta be able
exactly
to exit.
tell due to the pixels, but I believe that you are shooting what appear to be small pixelated penises.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wow. So yeah, we got to remember Ghost Rush
Katie,
games.
how many
for-
drinks did you have by the time you got to the end of when you
I
released
Yeah,
had
to
the
get
edition?
to these.
I had 2 large glasses filled with
Okay.
a decent amount of whiskey.
Of pure whiskey.
Gotcha.
That's pure whiskey. I would be dead. Actually dead. But yeah, if you really, really want to play Deep Gachigasm, November 13th, it's all yours. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Your questions.
Wow.
This looks like a promising
Nice
viewer
transition.
segment.
That was quite a segue.
Well,
Then goes
usually
from,
someone,
I hate Gachigasm games. Viewer questions.
Really.
I mean, usually someone snatches it up and brings it in.
No,
I
you
don't
got
know.
it.
I can't
You
be
got
left on my own. I just blow
I
it.
was still so
Just take it or not,
dumbfounded that you felt the need to put the last 2 and waste like a solid 3 to 4 minutes.
No, it was not a waste.
These are
at all.
games. These are going to become listeners' favorites. These games.
These
They're gonna
need to
check
be
them out.
exposed. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Pewds eventually makes a video on these games, you'll be able to say you heard it first from the KBMOD podcast.
KBMOD podcast.
And then you'll rate us 5
Actually,
stars on iTunes.
All right. Yeah, we are on viewer questions. Our first one's a doozy from Darkwing02, who's no stranger to asking questions on this podcast. What game has been your most pleasant surprise so far this year, regardless of whether or not it released this year? And I'm gonna go real quick because I've got like something coming out of my butthole real quick here that I can't sit in my chair much longer. Turn. Sorry to be so graphic, but
Wow.
I've got two. The definitely the new South Park game I mentioned earlier. The Fractured Butthole was fantastic. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, and I've talked about this in a previous cast. But Emily is Away 1 and 2, the Instant Messenger, the AIM game. Fucking play it, incredible. Both of those. All right, boys, take it away. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I gotta go. Well, Shooting his life away. I'll go. When I had really low hopes for, well, not low, but I was. Resident Evil 7 was a really pleasant surprise. I was thinking it would be. I mean, coming off of Resident Evil 6, I didn't have high expectations. I thought it was just going off the demo. I thought it was going to be a PT clone. But after playing that game in its entirety, I haven't played the DLC yet, but that game is awesome and definitely one of the best games of 2017. And I was just surprised by how much actual game is in that title, and I really recommend it.
I went on like a little stint of like playing like a couple of games that are like motion based. So I played. I mean, I don't think any of these came out this year. Probably like a couple of years ago. Played Valley. So that's a game where you have like a robot legs, and then a story about my uncle. That was pretty fun too. And these are all like really short games, like probably in like the 2 to 3 hour range. Pretty cheap on Steam. And then Dead Core, which was like a puzzle game around like movement and stuff. So those were all like, I was like wanted something that would scratch my Mirror's Edge itch a little bit in some way. And they all kind of did in different ways. So, and I think they're all like $5 probably. So those were a good time. Cluster Truck too. I like Cluster Truck a lot.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Little Nightmares. I didn't have like I didn't know a lot about that game going into it, and I was sort of expecting to have like sort of like a one-off experience with it, sort of like the atmospheric horror platformer. And they actually just released their first DLC, I think either today or yesterday, which I need to play because the storytelling in it, the art style was very interesting to me. Yeah, I thought it was going to be pretty forgettable. I played it on stream, and actually I really liked it. I'm looking forward to play the DLC.
Cool.
Brandor.
I think my answer here is kind of, I guess, predictable or pedestrian.
Tribes.
Not this year, but all the years prior, that would have been my answer. I'm gonna say PUBG. Like,
yeah, that's a good answer.
That was a huge surprise to me that game was as good and interesting as it ended up being. So that was like a real pleasant surprise because I didn't expect to get into a game like that at all this year.
Yeah.
But then obviously it's taken off like crazy. But to say that I would have predicted that PUBG and the Battle Royale genre would be as prevalent as it has been in 2017. Like it's maybe been the defining trend in games in 2017. And so PUBG has been a really pleasant surprise for me. That's been a staple in my gaming most of the year. I didn't expect that at all. Good answers there. Nick had better answers than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, those are the only like smaller games I've really played. But if you're looking for something like that you can play in like just a couple hours, then it's kind of a bit like platformy, first person, like movement-y stuff, like Valley, A Story About My Uncle, Dead Core. Those are we're all like very enjoyable.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think you're coming across as more of a gamer than you like to let on.
But the thing is, like, those 3 games are like, besides Destiny 2 this year, those are probably the only games I've really played out of like wanting to do in my own time.
Okay, well, they still qualify as pleasant surprises.
Yeah, they were all quite pleasant.
You were qualified to be on the podcast.
Yes.
Next up, we have a question from Noah but no Arc on Twitter. It says, what animal hybrid would taste the best? He gives an example, like steak meat but on a chicken wing, etc. So it's like taste. It's like you get to pick a hybrid of taste and format. suppose.
Good thing I stopped eating meat a while ago.
Well, I mean, all right, you can do a hybrid of some vegan type of food.
Can I just get tofu
But it
that
has to be
feels
on
and tastes like chicken? Like exactly like chicken? But it's just tofu?
I mean, you could do like tofu on a chicken wing. So like you'd be biting into a chicken wing, but it would be tofu on the inside.
Yeah, I want that. I want it to feel and taste like chicken. I want chicken without the chicken. That's all I want.
All right. I'll allow it.
I guess I can try to think of something that when I ate meat would be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say duck, but in like steak form, because duck is really good, but it is so bony and greasy and fatty that you can't really. It's a pain to eat. So I'm gonna say, but it's really good. So I'm gonna say duck in a more accessible form, which is gonna be steak.
Yeah, I'd probably go more towards fish because stuff like lobster and like crab legs are like you're not getting a lot of food with them, or like it's kind of
You want something you don't have to work for.
Exactly.
Basically. You want the delicious lobster meat without having to get in there.
Right.
I think like lobster nuggets would be cool, but not like fried or anything. But like
That sounds so fucking decadent. Lobster nuggets.
Oh man.
The thing is, nugget is not you have to. The hybrid is with like
Oh,
a piece
it's
of
like
animal.
two
Nuggets are
animals,
not
so
a
it'd be
piece
like-
of animal.
Like a lobster shrimp or something, like a lobster fish, so like a
Okay.
fillet of lobster, maybe.
Okay,
God.
lobster chicken nuggets. Boom. That is-
You're such a fuck.
I was actually you actually sort of stole my answer because I was thinking
Oh, no.
lobster and crab. Like I really like those, but they are so difficult to get at. So I was gonna say like lobster meat in a chicken thigh, because like then you just basically then you get a little bit of like chicken skin, and you don't have to you don't really have to worry about
That's
bones.
good. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
That sounds delicious.
What's what I know you were thinking about this while you were gone, Scott. So
Oh, I was, I was definitely thinking. I wasn't thinking much. I was just holding on for dear life. But yeah, what animal hybrid? I can't get the example that he gave, which was steak meat, but on a chicken wing, kind of out of my mind.
That's a great example. Yeah.
That's such a good example. Fuck, man. I don't know. I don't really have anything. I definitely I like the example. I would kind of stick. I would definitely love to have that kind of.
think about the thing you enjoy, the type of meat you enjoy eating most that's not in a convenient format for you.
Right,
to eat.
convenient form. Yeah. I love crab, and crab is such a fucking pain unless you buy it already, shelled and everything, like just lump crab meat, but it's expensive. So
That's the kind of shit you only get when you're going out, basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like maybe,
Loves cooking.
yeah. So maybe crab meat in, let's see, what kind of form would it be? Like that wouldn't really make sense. And like I was gonna say like a drumstick form, because crab kind of like flakes and falls
Like a
apart.
crab chicken wing.
Yeah.
Like
I
on
guess
the
chicken
bone,
wing is.
but it's crab meat on the
I think that's a
bone.
valid answer,
Right.
because like
Yeah.
you're basically saying the chicken or like the drumstick would have skin on it. So
Right.
you're
Yeah.
basically saying like put crab meat inside
For
of a
the meat.
drumstick.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I think like
Yeah.
chicken
Crab.
has such good form factor for
Yeah, the
eating like
skin,
thighs and
yeah.
drumsticks, and the skin holds everything in. But like
Yeah,
shellfish, I would want shellfish of some sort inside of the chicken form factor.
Yeah. No, you're right. Chicken is a crazy good vehicle.
There are no
Sure.
good like meatless alternatives for getting anything that has like a skin for anything. It's very, very difficult to find anything.
What's the
That gives you, like, a realistic-
non-animal alternative for crab or lobster?
Yeah.
I don't think they're. I don't know. I also, even when I ate meat, I didn't eat a lot of. I don't like
Depression?
seafood very much. So I mean, I don't really even look into like seafood alternatives for me.
Yeah.
Just like
That's a
I
shame.
buy bacon chicken nuggets and fake corn dogs.
Yeah,
That's it.
lobster wings or like lobster boneless wings.
Anything
That's
boneless.
that's
Yeah,
my
just give me
method.
like give me like any animal in a ball, like breaded and fried.
Right, yeah.
Pretty much.
Like it'll be great.
I like how KD keeps trying to go to the manufactured version of this. Like,
Yeah.
the wing doesn't
yeah,
start
the
out
nugget
boneless.
version of any animal.
Yeah, every time.
I would like an elk nugget or something. Oh, anything
elk
would be
nugget.
so
Nugget.
good.
Oh, what a good
Anything with,
Xbox Live name. Elk
like-
Nugget.
Venison nugget. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Venison is so good.
Basically, just take bones out of all the animals. Don't just take the skeletal structure away from.
Yeah,
this
instead of
delicious meat.
crossbreeding animals, can we breed animals with no bones? Just these like muscle skin slug animals.
Oh man.
Just breed animals, or we don't even have to worry about deboning. Everything's
Yeah.
everything's in.
Right.
We'll
Yeah.
get that. I mean,
You
they
just
already
make
grow.
one incision on the side and everything falls out.
I mean, you can grow that. You can grow like body parts and shit in the lab, and like, I mean, they can already do that with parts of animal. Like, that's going to be the future, and food production is just going to be, you know, the
Fake animal
basically,
meat.
yeah, like the animal meat grown in labs, but just the parts that we want. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's that far away. It's going to happen.
I'd eat artificial meat.
Yeah. Kangaroo meat dino nuggets. How
my
many
God.
layers of animals can we go
Dino
through?
nuggets.
Dino
I want actual
nuggets.
dinosaur meat nuggets.
Dinosaur meat nuggets.
Yeah, I wonder what dinosaurs would have tasted like. Probably not very good because they're like, well, they're related to birds, kind of. So maybe they would be good.
Yeah.
Maybe the
I would
smaller
do,
ones.
Velociraptor steak. Just curious. What would really well prepared, well seasoned
Fried nuggets.
Velociraptor taste like?
I feel like
I mean,
they would all be really tough because
I think.
Like very
yeah.
muscular.
yeah,
Yeah,
all
the
all
velociraptors are
dinosaurs-
very lean.
yeah,
They were, yeah.
Right.
like the best cows are the ones that don't move at all.
Yeah, you want like a fat,
Exactly.
like
Right,
a
yeah.
Apatosaurus, like a big
Spinosaurus.
Apatosaurus. The fucking
I heard you.
long necks, the long neck
Yeah.
ones that just walk around. They're
What?
basically just cows.
Want some of that neck meat?
I don't know about the neck, but that neck meat.
Oh, that neck meat. God damn it.
You order it and just like the neck comes on a plate and you just like the head is still attached like a lobster. Like you kind of just eat around it.
Yeah, it's like they serve it with the head still on, but you eat around that part.
Yeah, you just leave like a stump with bones.
So violent sounding.
I mean, you're eating the dinosaur anyway.
All right,
Pretty
that's
dead.
good question. We
That
have
was a very good question.
we have a next question, which is sort of about the podcast, a meta question
Yes.
from
Ooh.
eco_official_
Mm.
Twitter. He asks, who do you want to bring on the podcast in the next 100 episodes?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
You know what's so funny is I had this list of actual guests that I wanted to kind of go through, and so far they've slowly all been checked off the list. I had Kevin Spacey at number 1, Louis C.K. at number 2. Then I had George Takei at number 3. I don't know what's going on.
I saw some video about George Takei, but I don't actually know what George Takei did. Is this something
He's
that's
denying everything.
He categorically denied it, but it was basically he
Kevin
this guy-
Spacey?
Yeah,
No.
kind of like not quite. Like he tried. This guy was drunk and he woke up to George Takei trying to do something to him. Is what is basically claimed.
If I woke up, even if George Takei wasn't even touching me, he was just in the same room, I'd be fucking terrified. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, the way Scott explained that, George Takei was in the room previously.
Yeah, this
He
guy
just
woke
suddenly
up and
appeared.
George Takei was
No,
there.
they've been hanging out.
He's on top of him naked.
I can't think of a scarier person to wake up in the same room as.
Yeah, George
George
Takei just
Takei.
like right there.
He's-
And of course,
Um,
he's going to throw out the "oh my." And then, "Oh my."
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of actual like serious answer. Who do I really want on the
Woody.
next 100? Woody, yeah, Woody from Woody the Unexceptional Gamer from PKA. No, I mean I
Mr. Gamer Tag, as some people know him.
yeah, I don't really have any like I don't know. Do you have any guys? Do you have anybody that comes to mind that's you would really want? That you guys would
Richard
really want?
Spencer.
Richard Spencer. No. Good on that
Serious
one.
answer, I'd probably Sandy Ravage. I'd like to talk to him.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Sandy Ravage
Yeah.
would be fun to talk
Or
to.
let me think.
Like XCal would be super fun, just because he's super old school.
Yeah.
Like I love XCal, and he's still doing his thing.
I think it'd be cool
I loved him during
for you to
days.
have Lester on here. That'd be cool.
Lester would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
Lester
good.
would be fun to have on.
Seriously.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Lester lives in LA, and I think Nick Fenton has seen him about as many times as I've seen Lester since I moved.
You
back
have
to-
probably seen Lester in person
More.
more recently than I have.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
I don't think I've
Might
seen
be
Lester
tough.
in it's probably 3 years at this point.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Or getting
Yeah,
close,
right.
probably. I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. Those are a few for me. What about you, Brandon? Anybody or Ying? Anybody you would want on to chat
I
with?
mean, I've never had any sort of interaction with him whatsoever, but I always think like Optic Hex would be really interesting to have on the cast.
Got the
Oh,
text
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hex would be interesting.
Has Tay been on the podcast?
I don't think so.
I
Joel
don't
has
think so.
though.
Yeah, Orb has.
Orb has.
They're
Yeah.
the same.
We've
Orb was
had,
a long time ago though. Orb was
we've had Taves a
I think he was
stunt double on the podcast.
That's right.
I want to
Yeah,
say Orb
Guy
was probably-
Beeman here. Get Guy Beeman on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it
saying,
Beam?
like,
Is that how you say
even-
it? Beam?
even though Orb has been on the cast,
Advanced
it's been a long time, right? Like last time he was on was before. I think it was probably well before 200.
Orb.
Yeah.
That was before he was.
It's like
we
one-
were reposting
one
all of
line.
Orb's stuff before anybody really knew about him. We were original Orb.
Back on the
Fans.
awesome couch.
Like,
Yeah,
he'd be a good
seriously.
to have back
Like
on.
Orb really, he had like grinding, but he hadn't really kind of blown up, so to say.
You're
Like,
saying that Orb
yeah.
actually kind of owes us his fame.
yeah, we were the reason. No, but yeah, like I remember, he was like his videos, his YouTube videos were always super good. It's like he was insane at COD. We
Those
were just
Crisis
blown
2
away.
tutorials.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just finished his fucking insane race to prestige for World War II. It was
we're
absolutely
like OG.
Over
Orb
200
fans.
hours streamed nonstop, and its
It's
internet did not
Mhm.
drop
Did not
at-
die.
at all.
Did not
Oh
die.
man.
It's insane. Swedish.
Not a single dropped frame. My internet drops for like 5 seconds, like multiple times a day for no
Oh, yeah.
reason.
Yep.
The donkey. Yeah, John Memes. I would love to get him on sometime. That'd be a-
That'd be a good guess. Never had
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have any good answers here because we
Phantom Lord. God damn it, Petey.
Oh,
Phantom Lord.
I'm good on that.
I think we could probably it'd be cool to have some game industry guests like we used
Yeah.
to. I feel like
Yeah.
we sort of pivoted away from that a little bit over time, but I thought
For the memes.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, and also just there's so many. I feel like there's so many more outlets for for game developers to talk about what they're working on. That coming on podcasts is, I don't know, a little, dare I say, old school.
Yeah, you're putting a couple hours in just to get the you're spreading the word.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but I think some of our old episodes with like Garrettson and some of the people from the Hawken team, I forget his name offhand. But like we've
Hawken.
we had Mr.
Mr.
Hawken.
Yeah.
But like
Stephen Hawken.
I think some of those guests are really cool and give us some insight that we wouldn't have on our own. I mean, like I obviously enjoy talking to friends and content creators and stuff, but I don't know that they always have like really super interesting stories to tell or insights to offer that we
A lot of
wouldn't
stale
necessarily
memes.
have. Well, I'm just like we know more about them and how they operate, because some of us have been in those shoes, whereas none of us has really worked in the game. Like we've never really worked on games, and so I always find it interesting when we talk to those people and they have insights to offer around stories like like EA acquiring Respawn and Telltale cutting staff.
Mhm.
Like I only have a bird's eye view of that stuff working at Twitch, like sort of gaming industry adjacent. But that's a lot different than working at a company that makes games. So I always find their insights to just some of our normal news stories really interesting, because they have a perspective that we don't necessarily have ourselves. So yeah, actually, my serious answer would be John Carmack. I would love to.
Ooh,
I'd
yeah.
love to get, if we're just talking like wish guests.
I-
Like, I would love for
I would
John
just-
Carmack to come on.
Take 3 hours and then just have John Carmack explain his tweets to me. Like,
Well,
just
The
like,
thing
be
is,
like,
you
what
know-
does this mean?
The great thing is that you know that you won't have to warn John Carmack, like, hey, sometimes this podcast can run like maybe 2 hours. It's like he'll
just do it
He's gonna
anyway.
be like, oh, that's fine. Like he's used to talking for
Yeah.
like 3-4 hours straight. So
Definitely.
I think he would be super
mean,
interesting to talk
Like,
to.
to fully understand any John Carmack idea, you need a couple hours to put aside.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know if we'll snag John Carmack in the next 100, but you know, we'll try.
You never know.
Banksy.
Thanks.
Banks John.
Banksy.
The Guy Fawkes. Could we get Guy Fawkes on the podcast?
Oh. I mean, we can try. I have his email. I'll email. It's guyfox@gmail.com. Pretty
Get-
vanilla
Hey,
address.
Guy Fieri, mayor of Flavortown himself.
Guy
Ooh.
Fieri.
That would be amazing.
Learn about his food empire.
Emerald Lagasse.
Dude, he's got a new show on Food Network right now. That's so I can't. I started watching it tonight. It's so good. He basically picking his like successor in the whole like diners, drive-ins, and dives. He's basically giving someone their own show on Food Network. That's going to be the same thing as diners, drive-ins, and dives. And
It won't be the
lit.
same.
It won't be the same, but he's like picking his
It'll
protege.
be like when we plays touch.
Okay, yeah. God damn it. So yeah, well, I'm just wait till it gets to Netflix. You're gonna binge watch it. It's great. All right. Well, we've got some favorite because we had asked earlier in a tweet about some favorite podcast moments from viewers. We got quite a few responses on here.
We're not that sentimental here, but we figure,
No, once in a while.
you know, 300 people expect something slightly out of the ordinary.
Reading
Gotcha.
some of these.
Yeah, some of these are great. AJ said, "I liked Alex's Dr. Ivory." Agreed. Great moment.
So that's an old
Still
one at this
QM.
point.
Yeah. Still QM said Nick Fenton's pig squeal. Yes, distinctly remember that.
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
Hard to erase that sound from anybody's memory if you heard it.
Let's
see.
try it. I want to hear it.
No. It is almost 10 o'clock, and I'm not doing that right now.
Look, a lot of people listening to the cast won't even know what the pig squeal is.
I don't
And
know.
we have-
I haven't
we
done it
have
in
the
so long. I don't know if
opportunity,
I can.
I didn't queue up the moments here for us to like listen to them. So this is
Oh my god!
There it is.
That was incredible.
just as good as I remember.
Wow.
It's so good. See, you're either born with it or you're not. That's like
Hurts
that
my
is
lungs.
Oh shit.
If you had done that and your mic accidentally cut over to the
Oh,
loud,
to the
God,
full
like
volume.
We would have died.
That's not would have been the last thing you've ever heard at all.
So good. So that one, Luke talked about episode 181, Professor Okdok.
That sounds familiar, but I can't
Oh
place
yes,
it.
I remember that. I don't remember exactly what the context was.
I remember Okdok, but I
Was
don't.
that a Katie's an email or what?
No, it was. I think it was actually just Scott messing something up. Like he wanted to say, he meant to say like
Doc Ock, and I did it backwards.
I'm like Doc, and you're like, and I think that turned into like a spin-off of like the awkward doctor. Here he comes.
Yes, I think you're right. And then it became the awkward doctor. Nice. All right, Luke. We've got Blitzen Firebolt who said the cat story, which yes, watching my friend's brother finger the cat once.
has to be that has to be my number one, honestly.
Everything about that is so good too. Like even the way that gets led into is, I think it was like a viewer question too that was like, would you rather get fingered by your cat or finger your cat? And Scott immediately goes, oh, I have a great story about this.
yeah. It's like,
And everyone was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. There's a good anime. Hey, for people that don't know, there used to be KBMOD. Well, we had Ben Basic on, and he did the
animated
animations. And
so
yeah, he has a
good.
cat story one. That's really good. You should.
So good.
Yeah, that's
Look
one
up
of the
that
few
one.
moments that is enshrined in KBMOD history. You can pretty easily find that one for better or worse.
You can. The Katie's End emails, which I agree, are always a
Yeah,
great
those are
time.
always staples.
We need
Fucking
KD
classic.
now that KD's on the cast. We need him to catalog his old emails and like highlight those moments. 'Cause those are all pretty good.
Yeah, those would be
That would take a lot of searching. I just remember, like, I know when the first email was. It was just the first tweet, and I would just have to search episode by episode, like trying to find it.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
take
I mean, maybe
I know you have all the. I know that all the emails will forever be saved, right? In your. I mean, if you use the same email address.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
you at least have the.
Oh yeah, I could line up the
account.
dates. Yeah, for sure. I could probably do
I was
that.
gonna say I can actually do that myself. Let's see, the first one here, July 6th, 2014. So over
There you
3
go.
years ago.
3 years.
That would be
ago.
the first email. I still remember the first tweet. It
Yeah.
was like,
Oh yeah. All the emails are where the real.
they're pretty good. Yeah. It was like Mitt
Um,
Romney pooping on your dick.
Oh,
It was good. It was like, would rather have Mitt Romney poop on dick or Enfant and dick on Mitt Romney poop. Please upvote. It was so good.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Yeah. Blitzen also said Extra Life stream are his favorite part. All of you are funny dudes. Thanks for years of making me laugh. Thank you, Blitzen, for those memories. Aunt Meme. I forgot about this, but holy fuck, this was hilarious.
I don't even remember what that's from.
Aunt Meme's favorite KBMOD moment is when Nick said, the only time Nuketown Noob is on top is when he's riding reverse cowgirl. And I don't know if that was in to like him talking about being on top of the scoreboard or something.
Probably. I have no idea what the context of that is, but I know I said that. Like for sure.
That's hilarious.
Oh god. Noah but no Arc said great moments. Brandon saying there's no way No Man's Sky can deliver a viable product with such a small team. His prediction was spot on, and that. Brandon
I don't know
called
if
that.
I told any of you this, but yeah, going back to not playing very many video games a few months ago, when No Man's Sky was on sale for $30. I bought it, and that shit was refunded within a half an hour.
Oh my god.
Wow. I was like, I really hope I could like this. I really kind of want to play like a procedurally generated game, like something open world I can kind of just mindlessly play. No, it ran like hot dog shit. Hot dog shit.
Oh man.
Dang. No
That's
Man's
too
Sky.
bad.
And then he also said Scott ranting for how shit CS:GO was while in beta, and how it would never overtake Source in esports. Now
that
I
rant
don't
on
remember.
CS:GO where you went on, the people on Reddit were really pissed at your rant.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like semi recently, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess, but also at the time, like CS:GO was fucking so bad. But I don't remember if I said it would never overtake. I guess I probably did. Gonna have to link.
It's hard to anticipate games like that. Like they did make some really solid strides of improvement.
The game is so different than what it used to be. It was it was so bad. Even if you go back to videos on my channel from when it was in beta, it doesn't even look like the same game. It had the wheel buy menu for console, like for the controller. Oh god. But like it was like so the UI was just anyway, all of it was just so
Bad.
So
bad times.
It was bad. It was awful. We were always playing Dust 1. But Coney Hawk just put a GIF, and unfortunately, if you're not watching live, you will not have access to the GIF that I'm sure somebody will put into the chat. And it's a GIF of Nick Fenton. Is it milk dribbling out of your mouth?
It is milk. Confirmed milk. I don't remember exactly why I was drinking milk, but
I think if I recall, it's because you had never drank whole milk before.
oh yeah, this is when we were doing the milk testing.
That's right. Yes. It was the milk test. Oh my god, that is a when it dribbles out the middle too.
Oh,
like a fountain, like a statue.
Oh,
I want to find that VOD now.
Yeah, that was amazing. So those are just a few. I mean, 300 episodes is no small task. It's insane that we've been doing it this long. So again, just appreciation to everybody who's listened, and some of you guys have been here since the very first episode, and some of you have joined within the last 50 or last 200 or something like that. So much appreciate everybody that continues to listen and be a part of the community. We appreciate it. And this is where we would definitely move on and do the iTunes podcast review of the week, but we don't have one this week. But That's okay. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you how to leave a review this week because you know what? It's episode 300. I'm feeling generous.
You're supposed to post the fucking GIF in the chat.
Somebody. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Brandon got it. It was from the. There it is. Yeah. Now the chat can take a look. Oh, yeah, that definitely needs to be. Oh God. I'm just looping. I'm just have it hovered over, and I'm looking at it.
Oh man.
Without context, so it's a pretty damning GIF.
It is no context. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope nobody. If I'm ever looking for a job, I hope nobody ever sees that.
Next, action item for someone. Someone needs to do a reverse GIF of this GIF.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Great
Daddy's
idea.
Cummies is the name of the file.
Come on.
Don't waste any. Get it all in there.
Jesus.
It's precious.
Well, there you go.
It's precious.
Like the movie.
Oh.
And the book.
All right. Well, on that note, guys, like I said, I'm not going to rim you for no iTunes podcast review. Hopefully there will be one next week. You guys know how to do it. But again, yeah, thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thanks to Nick for coming on for 300. It's always a blast to have him on. And, of course, you can go to kbmod.com, check out the 2 articles that Brad did on the headphones and the network card. Check out the forums, read the other articles and other content. You can check out the build guides. And, of course, check us out on Twitter as well. We are at KBMOD Gaming. As far as the rest of us, you can find NFen, I believe, at NFen on Twitter.
That's the one.
Finally.
It's been like that for like 5 years.
5 years? No, you haven't. Have you really had that for 5 years? I feel like you were constantly trying to get that handle.
Never forget NFen Vids.
NFen Vids.
Previously, my original Twitter, I believe it was NFen Tweets. That was not good times. Then it was Mr._NFen, and then finally NFen.
There it is. So just NFEN. Katie Zen is at Katie Zen _. You can find him on there. Yingity Yang is at Yingity Yang. YINGITY Yang. And you can find Brandon at VOL1TION. And of course, I am at APL Fisher. And I think that's going to conclude episode.
Oh, wait, no, I had one question. I had a question that I totally forgot. I wanted to ask Yingity. Which member of the Yin Yang twins do you identify with more?
Definitely Yin.
Yeah,
I think Yin is the positive one.
That's not applicable. All right, we should just finish.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in for episode 300, and we will see you next time.
Are you ready for it?
301. Yeah, is everybody ready? I don't think people are ready.
I don't know if the timing is going to be right, because, I mean, whatever. Yeah. Oh my God, that was so loud.
There it is.
10 o'clock at night.